Welcome aboard. We call this the AM show, and it's all about you. It's 30 plus days still to election 2024. Welcome on the AM show. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Now, coming up, we'll serve you the news, followed by the news review shortly. Kojo Asemanyi is an NPP parliamentary candidate for Gumwa East, and we have Emmanuel Metonunu, member of the NDC's communications team. They'll be joining us for that segment, followed by, sports with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. And then we get into our big stories. Now, we'll be investigating, interrogating, looking into the operational capacity of the Ghana Police Service. That has been called into question after a brazen attack, daylight robbery, amid sporadic gunfire on a gold dealer at Adabraka, a suburb of Accra, over the weekend. Now, bringing to two such incidents in 4 months, stoking fear among residents and threatening businesses in that thriving business area, not far from a police station. We are there this morning to gauge the mood, as almost 48 hours after the incident, the Ghana Police Service has declared a manhunt for the perpetrators of that heinous crime. We'll bring you details of those bits. We'll spice up the conversations this morning with some politics from the MPP's end, from the NDC's end. Over the weekend, they were pretty active. We'll bring you some details, some scope on that as well. You want to stick and stay? All the action is going down right here. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Stick and stay. We'll be back with the news. Welcome back, and it's time now for the news. And our first story. Calls for greater consultation among parliamentary leaders are intensifying ahead of the House's upcoming recall. Speaker Alban Bagman's decision to declare 4 seats vacant has sparked controversy, prompting Majority Leader Alexander Afenyomarkin to file a Supreme Court writ challenging its constitutionality. As Parliament reconvenes on the 7th day of November, former Ghanaian ambassador to the Netherlands, Dr. Tony Edu, has advised the Majority Leader to seek resolution through dialogue rather than legal action. There's more in this report.
The Supreme Court has come under some criticism after rejecting Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagman's application to overturn the court ruling that suspended his declaration of 4 parliamentary seats vacant. The declaration of the vacancy has led to disagreement between the majority and the minority. With the substantive matter set to be determined on November 11, lawyer with the Center for Social Justice, Ni Ama Adi, says the Supreme Court must consider its paneling, especially on political matters, to cure the perception of political influence.
And it is not a situation that our Supreme Court lack judges, but we have 15 of them. So if 5 ought to be constituted, and there is the perception that the inclusion of some members of these 5 can raise eyebrow or give the perception that fairness is not delivered, then there is a problem. And I think that is what we are facing now.
Here is former Ghana ambassador to the Netherlands, Dr. Tony Edu's prescription for how the disagreement among Parliament's leadership can be resolved before November 7 recall.
What Afenyomarkin and the Supreme Court should know is that political matters can be negotiated, not legislated, not subject to constitutional interpretation, where there is no grounds for constitutional interpretation. Afenyomarkin can still get government business going if he comes down from his high horse. So you sit in the minority side, so what? You negotiate for government business to continue.
Meanwhile, private legal practitioner and member of the Movement for Change, Andrew Apia Dankwa, believes the impasse is needless.
I think it's beyond contestation that we find ourselves in a very needless constitutional crisis.
Needless?
Yeah, very, very needless. Well, that's my personal opinion. Because, you see, under the 97, you yourself should vacate your seat.
Principle of automaticity.
Yeah. Okay. In my view, that's unfortunately, the MPs concerned failed to show that integrity and stayed in Parliament, even though, in my view, it's clear that they've breached the terms of Article 97(1)(g).
It is expected that the consultation between leadership of Parliament and prominent Ghanaians, including the Council of State, will resolve the problem before the House resumes.
Now, with just 32 days until the presidential and parliamentary elections, NPP flag bearer Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has launched a fresh battle over digitalization, with NDC flag bearer John Mahama questioning Mahama's grasp of economic matters, particularly his understanding of how digitalization drives economic growth. Addressing supporters at the Bawumia for Jobs event in Accra, Dr. Bawumia warned Ghanaians not to bring Mr. Mahama closer to the presidency, arguing that the former president's limited knowledge of the global digital economy and inconsistent leadership style could hinder national development. Dr. Bawumia also pledged to create thousands of jobs and establish a fintech fund for tech startups if elected. Carlos Caloni has more from the Botiman Sports Complex here in Accra.
The atmosphere at the Botiman Sports Complex was electric as over 2,000 young people, both in person and online, gathered to hear the NPP flag bearer share his vision for tackling youth unemployment in the country. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia pledged to equip 1 million youth with IT skills and launch a $100 million fintech fund to support Ghanaian tech startups.
I want to see Ghana build the digital talent we require for the fourth industrial revolution. You need digital talent. This will mean providing digital and software skills to hundreds and thousands of youth. In collaboration with the private sector, we will train at least 1 million youth in IT skills, including software developers, coders, to provide job opportunities worldwide. We will establish a fintech fund with a seed capital of $100 million to attract additional private sector funding to support Ghanaian startups.
Dr. Bawumia also criticized the NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama, calling him an inconsistent leader who fails to recognize digitalization's role in economic transformation, urging Ghanaians to keep Mr. Mahama away from the presidency.
My opponent, the former president, to put it mildly, is very inconsistent. He opposed free senior high school, saying it was bogus and will collapse the economy. But today he says he introduced it. He, as president, introduced the teacher licensure exams. But today he says he opposes it. He abolished teacher and nursing training allowance. He said he would abolish it even if it cost him the presidency. But today he says he will continue to pay them. He is not committed to it. It's just for political expedience. He has touted in the past infrastructure as one of his achievements. But because our infrastructure record is superior to his, today he says that infrastructure doesn't matter. How can we have a leader who doesn't appreciate the value of digitalization in a digital global economy? He should not be allowed close to the presidency with that mindset.
Well, the big question we've been asking the youth who are gathered here is how sure are they that the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, would be able to deliver on the jobs he's promising them?
He has done it before. He has enrolled so many digitalization projects in Ghana, which is obvious for everyone to see. So we believe in him and we have confidence that he will do it when he comes.
I used to go around to look for where to buy just electricity. Now I can do it and pay via Momo. These are practical solutions, and given the opportunity, I tend to believe him than any other candidate in the sense that these are deliverable and they are clear there for me to see.
Well, the youth of the MPP are so confident that the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, if given the opportunity, would be able to deliver the jobs they so much need for the next 4 years. Reporting from the Boteman Sports Complex here in Accra, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
Now, the National Democratic Congress says it will stay vigilant during the December elections, with presidential candidate John Mahama stating that the party would leave nothing to chance. As John Mahama concluded his tour of the northern region, Tamale South MP Haruna Idrisu called for greater transparency, urging that serial numbers for all printed ballot papers be made available to help ensure a fair election. Maxwell Agbagba reports.
Are you ready for Women Development Bank?
On the final day of his tour of the northern region, the NDC presidential candidate John Mahama visited the Tolon, Sagnerugu, Nanton, Tamale North, Tamale Central and Tamale South constituencies, where he outlined several promises and initiatives aimed at addressing local needs and enhancing national policies. In the Tolon constituency, John Mahama promised that under future NDC government, a bridge will be constructed over the Volta River to connect Tolon district to the Daboya district. Additionally, he committed to decentralizing recruitment into state security agencies to ensure fairness and access across regions.
My father, Kasulana, spoke about several things, and one of the main issues that we've had on the drawing board for a long time is the bridge over the Volta River to connect Tolon district to Daboya district. And that has been on the drawing board for a long time. I thought that in the 8 years MPP was in power, they will work on it. They haven't. So it's NDC that will come and do that bridge. So that if you are in Tolon and you are going to Kumasi, you don't need to go back all the way to Tamale. You just cross over into Daboya to Busunu and then left to Damango Junction, then right to Bupe, and then you're on your way.
While in the Nanton constituency, he focused on infrastructure development, promising to establish a new senior high school if the NDC wins power. John Mahama also made commitments to the Muslim community, promising to institute a 2-day Eid holiday and expand access to Islamic schools if elected.
We're going to build a modern senior high school in this district. It is not acceptable that Nanton district, with the reputation it has, does not have a senior high school.
He further emphasized that the NDC would resist any illegal conduct during the elections to ensure fairness.
We're going to make sure that the election is transparent and fair. In the past, we have always trusted that everybody who is a stakeholder in this election will behave in a neutral and non-partisan manner. But it doesn't always work. In 2020, when we went to supervise the printing of ballot papers, after we finished printing the ballot papers, we packed them, we all signed, our agents left the printing presses. What happened? They started printing ballot papers again. And some of those ballot papers found their way into the hands of the MPP party. On the election day, we caught NPP agents with ballot papers in their hands. We reported them to the police. Nothing happened to them. So this election, we are not taking any chances. Just yesterday, one of our election supervisors went to inspect one of the printing houses, and an MPP person came there and wanted to assault him. We know that when they print the excess ballot papers, instead of shredding them in front of the agents, they keep them and hand them over to the MPP. We are not going to allow that to happen this year. Nobody is going to get hold of any extra ballot papers to go and dump them into any ballot box. This year, we are all going to be vigilant. Timnimo ya pam. As
Member of Parliament Haruna Iddrisu expressed confidence in an NDC victory, stating that the party's agenda aligns with the needs and aspirations of the people.
What we ask of you is that we need the serial numbers of every ballot paper printed for each region, for each district, and for each constituency. This is all we are demanding in the name of transparency. Our printed ballot papers is not enough. We want to know the quantity, the serial numbers. So Northern region, we want to know where our serial number starts and where it will end, so that we can follow it to Ashanti and follow it to Eastern region. If we find a ballot paper meant for Northern region in any region, we will expose your fraud and your intention for irregularity in the elections. We are very convinced, very convinced, beyond shadow of doubt, that John Dramani Mahama will win a free, fair, credible election.
Earlier, John Mahama presented a 7-seater vehicle to the Islamic Education Unit of the Ghana Education Service at a ceremony in Tamale, where Abdul Karim Bapuni, the general manager of the unit, received the vehicle. Additionally, he presented another vehicle to the Zakat and Sadaqah Trust Fund of Ghana at the recent National Muslim Conference held in Accra. He stated that the donation demonstrates his commitment to supporting the Muslim community and its institutions.
Now, the national chairman of the opposition National Democratic Congress, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, has admonished Ghanaians to desist from voting based on ethnic considerations to help bring development to the country. He was speaking to party faithful in the Kintampo South constituency as part of his 2-day tour of the Bono East region. There's more in this report.
The 2-day tour of the national chairman of the opposition National Democratic Congress, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, also known as General Mosquito, began in the Kintampo South constituency, where he held community engagements with the chiefs and people of Mansie, Trehini, before wrapping up at the constituency capital in Jema. Mr. Esiedun Ketia charged the people of the area to stay away from voting based on ethnic lines and choose leaders that will help bring development to the area.
Yenkro no bi wo ha wobekọ ho no abatu oduru so a ebisi ya de wo mu wo ya to party wo ya mu enunti ya de je maha o de appointi be gina ha now the MPP boli ko mu a ya de ya beto ama na ya de ne de tu ye ho enunti momie nya bibi afi wo yi Yentrese, Jemaha, Yatuaba, and only a woman to move, party a woman to minuni. Tinton time, a jump, Tetekasa, Yankano Nebru.
Johnson Esiedun Ketia was, however, quick to urge the people of the Kintampo South constituency to consider voting for the NDC to help Lordina Mahama, who is a native of the community, become Ghana's first lady and in turn bring development to the community.
Lordina, Anyari Kurano, Yaboni di Abata Kro Weswa. One number below BC soon, yes, so free Lordina Kruger. When the veterans and Timodiani Lordina, Yamodiani Buzio. Buziano ya de Ayakura, and some no automatically. Modiani Lordina, Mudina Chi. Now, all your Bibia, or be a dog by one, or here a moment. Or dog by one man and more. And a man, the Hoya day. Now, Lordina Bayet, your Bia de Bois, Jema constituency, Jema district, near Tuaba. Now, man 4.8. My first lady crowd, I will lose you in the crew. The first lady crowd will lose you in the crew. And then was a chance.
He further disclosed that the next NDC government will make trading easy for both buyers and sellers by introducing a scale to be used in measuring farm produce, a means that will help both buyers and sellers.
President John Dramani Mahama osi open nokre e wo ye dwadie mu e wo Ghana ha. Enu tin nhyehyɛ a yɛde ba ɛne sɛ bibi bia yɛbɛdi ho dwa bia no yɛde scale bɛsi hɔ ne akani. Ɛka sɛ 1 kilo yɛsɛ ya oba ne ɛpɛ wasɛm o yɛmpɛ wasɛm o 1 kilo 1 kilo.
Former Member of Parliament for Akotia constituency, Baba Jamal, admonished Muslim voters to desist from voting for the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Bawumia, who, according to him, is not a faithful Muslim.
Mahmoud Bawumia, al-Muslim, Muslim inti, Yankon Kotumano, Banyami Pesa Mutia Zenes, Ayanukrese, Kremoni, Wunyani Kremoni, Nansu Kremoni, Wunyani Kremonia, Okanokre.
Anna Sabit, Joy News, Jima.
Now, the Northern Regional Branch of the Convention People's Party has criticized its former national chairman and Nandom Paramount Chief, Professor Edmund Dele, for endorsing NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama as Ghana's incoming president. Professor Dele made this endorsement during Mahama's courtesy visit to his palace in the Upper West region. However, at a press conference in Tamale, CPP Regional Vice Chairman Abubakar Abdullahi Madugu questioned the endorsement, noting that the CPP had its own presidential candidate who was a viable contender.
The National Democratic Congress flag bearer John Dramani Mahama was in the Upper West region a couple of weeks ago to canvass vote ahead of the December polls. During the tour of the region, a former national chairman of the Convention People's Party and now paramount chief of the Nandom traditional area, now Professor Edmund Dele, addressed him as incoming president when he paid a courtesy call on him. He also added that Mr. Mahama was not a driver's mate, but this has since sparked reactions from supporters of the Convention People's Party. Addressing the media in Tamale, the Northern Regional Vice Chair of the CPP, Abubakar Abdullahi Madugu, said its former chairperson may be out of touch with realities on the ground.
In our humble view, his comments could be interpreted to mean that the people of Nandom, and by extension, the people of Ghana, should vote for the NDC and John Mahama, who in the words of the chief was the incoming president. Out of respect for our revered chief, former CPP chairman, we can only assume that age is catching up on him, or he was poorly advised. For the avoidance of doubt, we would like to make it clear to the Nandom Na, as well as the whole Ghana, that in these 2024 general elections, there are potential parties and individuals offering themselves as vehicles for change. Real change or true change or progressive change cannot be the NDC. We believe that change is CPP, as the CPP has its own candidate in the person of Her Excellency Nana Frimpongma Sapong Kuma. So out of all respect, we say or ask Professor, please come again. Please leave us alone. The CPP is not for sale. In the name of great CPP, there is peace.
Surveyors have been called upon to maintain high ethical standards to uphold trust, professionalism, and integrity within the industry. The charge was made during a graduation ceremony for new surveyors who have completed the GYAM Institute of Technology and Industrialization in Surveying and Mapping at a ceremony held at the University of Cape Coast. There is more in this report.
The ceremony witnessed the graduation of students in project management and surveying. The surveyors were trained in modern surveying techniques, legal frameworks, and ethics. Speaking at the graduation ceremony, Director of the Institute, Engineer Dr. Ebenezer Jamra, expressed concerns over reports of unethical practices among some surveyors and urged surveyors in the country to equip themselves in the best practices that will help reduce issues of land litigation.
You know, we have a lot of land conflict issues in Ghana. No matter how the Lands Committee, the Commission is doing to curb these manners, the problem begins from the field. And that is why it is important to train the person going to the field. So the person would know the do's and don'ts of land demarcation. So when they come to GITI, we give them practical, skilled land surveying training. Some of them are having their master's survey, as I said, but they come for that skill training so that together we can build nature. We cannot sit down for these land issues to be killing people. Because of land issues, marriages are collapsing. Because of land issues, people are disowning their children. Because of land issues, people are getting heart attack. Because of land issues, so many things are happening. People are being killed. How long can we continue to sit in like this as a country? And that's why GITI, JAM Institute of Technology and Industrialization, have come to collaborate with institutions like the MBTI and IPMP to train professionals to help in the land sector and also to help in project management.
Professor David Aka, Executive Director of IPMP, urged the new surveyors to engage in continuous professional development. He also encouraged surveyors who have been practicing without any certification to leverage the opportunity that GITI offers.
These days, government has made it more easier for us because CTVET has given us opportunity for us to have several certifications through their grants to be even at the highest level. And so a certificate from the CTVET and then in collaboration with GTI, I think it's important for people or for those in that field to come and take that program.
The ceremony concluded with the awarding of certificates to students. Some of them spoke to Joy News.
It is not particularly meant for a particular field. Even in your home, if you know project management, you can manage your home very well. With the little resources you have, you make every project have a start time and an end time. With the resources, you're able to deliver your goals. And this has been what I've learned from the course.
Thank you for staying. Now, the Ghana Association of Restructuring and Insolvency Advisors, GARIA, is advocating more awareness on the importance of the insolvency law in Ghana. GARIA is of the view that most stakeholders are unaware of the tenets of the law in addressing serious situations when the need arises for a company to declare bankruptcy. Speaking at the launch of the second edition of the GARIA Journal, the president of GARIA, Felix Addo, said training more insolvency practitioners would help turn around struggling companies.
Our insolvency practitioners have acquired lots of experiences over years. Some have acquired experiences in outside countries. The insolvency profession itself in Ghana is a very young profession, okay? And we are now trying to make sure that issues like administration, turnaround, rescue are brought to the fore, because we don't want companies to go into liquidation when they could be turned around. Yeah. But you notice that in a way it's new here. The laws, the serial law is what allowed us to now do administrations and rescue in Ghana. These types of techniques have been used in the advanced economies for several decades. And so they have acquired experience. We don't have experiences of that nature here. In fact, since the law was passed in about 5 years ago, only 3 administrations or attempts to rescue companies have been done in Ghana. And so there's a shortage of expertise. There's a shortage, a dearth of knowledge base, okay? And this is where the thought leadership, which the journal brings, is so critical.
Let's talk fraud now, and the Cybersecurity Authority has revealed that it has received reported cases of online investment scams of about 149, amounting to nearly 2 million Ghana cedis in value. Speaking at the PricewaterhouseCoopers Cyber Forum in Accra, head of the National Computer Emergency Response Team at the Cybersecurity Authority, Stephen Kujo-Sechi, urged businesses to build robust IT structures to guard against cyber threats.
Business, I mean, probably across all the sectors, your endpoints are important. So what devices are your users using within the company? So making sure those devices are well protected. So not just the laptops, but even mobiles. So a lot of us go into our offices and there's Wi-Fi available. So the question is that Wi-Fi connection such that if there's malware on your device, it doesn't get into the network, the office network. So how you structure your network to allow such access, what we call bring your own device, is important. So the people responsible for the IT architecture for the network should be able to segment or isolate all the key infrastructure. So the network that is handling, let's say, your key service, if you're a bank where your core banking stuff should be quite different from where someone who just wants to do his email is doing it from. Those are some of the best practices. You also need to, even your users' behavior online. So that's where the culture comes on. So are you allowing people to visit just any website within the office, or do you have controls? During working hours, are people using social media or using torrent sites that could potentially be used to download malware into the network? So those are policies that you also need to have. So the fact about having the right kind of policies for your environment, access controls, even physical access. Who has access to your server room, for example? Do you know who has it? Those are things you can put in place as an entity or an enterprise to protect yourself.
It's a wrap for business, and that's how we also cap off the AM News this morning. But stay with us. The news review is up next as we're joined by our guests. We'll be right back. Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for our news review, and we'll be joined by our guests, starting with Emmanuel Meto Nunu. He's a member of the NDC's communications team, and he joins us for a conversation this morning. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
All right.
I hope you're doing well too.
We try. It's been a busy morning, hectic morning, but here we are.
Yeah, It's good. It's a Monday morning, and it's a call to national duty, so we have to be here.
Yeah, speaking of which, I don't know whether you know this, but scientifically it's been said that most cardiac arrests, heart attacks, happen on Mondays, especially Monday mornings. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. And bringing that topic this morning is very interesting because just yesterday I lost a friend to cardiac arrest.
Wow. Are you talking of a young person?
Yeah, young person. I think she should be about 39, 38 years old.
Wow. I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, and it happened on Sunday. So if you say on Monday, my recent one I've seen was just yesterday. And,
wow. My condolences.
I spoke to her on Saturday, and yesterday, Saturday was her son's birthday. So they actually went out. But I think that we need to take issues of our health serious, because she started losing her breath. And instead of going to hospital, I heard she was chewing ice blocks. So by the time it got worse, that was when she collapsed at home. So she didn't make it to the hospital.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was a Sunday. So I don't know where your studies got the Monday.
No. You can. I mean, I've read scientific. One thing, I'm very curious.
Is it because Monday is a working day?
No. Monday is a hectic day. People move from the weekend, you relax a bit. And then Monday is everybody, run. Yeah. Beat the traffic, be at work at this time, do this, do that. Yeah. And so most people, you would find out that, I've read reports that say that because of all that pressure, it's almost as though, you see when you sleep, it's not right to, when you're waking up, just wake up, boom. You must let your body go through a certain relaxing period, else your brain, you could even give yourself a stroke. Yeah. But you wake up, everybody is in a hurry. So most of them actually happen on Mondays.
Yeah, it can be possible. I'm not
the rush.
It's possible.
Anyway, let's seize about a minute and a half to. We usually do this with our guests. What one issue do you have, top of mind that you would like to share with us this morning?
Okay, thank you very much. And let me start by saying a very good morning to our church, US. I come from the Lejokuku constituency.
Oh, and maybe I should introduce this caveat. I'm sorry, I'm bringing in this bit. I just want you to know as well, usually there are issues. We were meant to have the MPP's parliamentary candidate for Gumwa East with us by now. The person is not here. So if you don't see some representation from the other side, it's because the person hasn't arrived. Not our fault. Just so putting that caveat out there. Please go ahead.
I come from the Lejokuku constituency, and one of the issues affecting us, anybody who knows the landscape of Lejokuku very well, is the issue of bad road networks that we have over there. We have about 12 traditional electoral areas, and for all the electoral areas that you can talk about in Lejokuku, our inner roads are very, 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 very bad. Coupled with the fact that we have bad roads, you could also have incidents of water shortage over there. And just recently, I've also noticed that a lot of complaints, and even from the Ghana Police Service, we are trying to see how we can correct that. Most investors, most people who drive Uber, Bolt, don't like to come to session because anytime they come around, their mobile phones, their cars are snatched from them. So you realize that anywhere you are, even if it's daytime, in the afternoon, you request a boat that you're coming to session, they don't want to come. So these are main issues affecting us, our bad road network, water shortage, and then the security issues there.
And I may just add, since you're talking about Lejokuku, you've heard of the spate of armed robbery recently. Dr. Zaneto Rawlings had to, talk about it, 2 back-to-back. Some even suggest that that robbery was not the first on that same individual. Some suggest that I cannot corroborate. But what do you think about that as well? Daylight robbery, brazen robbery.
I wasn't surprised, but for that issue, that incident to happen there back-to-back, it baffles my mind. I'm not surprised it happened during the daytime because just about last year around this time, even in my house, but then I wouldn't say it was a robbery because there was nobody at home. The people were able to read very well to know that at one point in time there's someone at home, to know that everybody was not at home. And that day, we had all gone far. And then they broke into the house and they ransacked everything with money and everything from the house. That was daytime. It happened around 12. So I'm not surprised this one happened around the daytime. But after it happened, we tightened the security over there. There's a police camera just at the junction there.
Yeah.
But when it happened, we went to check. We realized that it wasn't working. We had to impress upon them to make sure that it worked. So for a business area, and I hear there are a lot of gold dealers even on that lane, that has happened back to back. I wonder what kind of security measures that they put in place to make sure that they prevent something like that from happening. You don't only put the security measures inside your shop. And if it's happened back to back, why would you even carry that amount of money to transport it without any form of security? Why are you taking it to? And why are you putting it in a private car? Can't you have an arrangement?
I asked myself so many questions, so many things in that situation from at least my knowledge of security and forensics did not seem right to me. If you want to protect money, first off, even banks, you would see a lot of the time, of course, they have their vaults, secure systems and all that. But those that would need to transport to HQ, you would see bullion vans. I mean, if you look at this quantum of money in, you probably should have a bullion or something. How much would it cost you vis-a-vis losing all of this? And why would you keep such huge amounts in this place in the first place? I mean, I don't know. Maybe this person, I don't know. But so many things didn't add up. And then I'll leave the police to do their investigations. But then even the movement of the vehicle and everything surrounding the occupants of the vehicle and the movement when the robbers, I don't know. But that's, I'll leave the investigators.
Ordinarily, if I was passing by with the way they were carrying the money into the red Toyota Corolla, I wouldn't have thought it was money. I would have just thought they were packing some sacks or something into the car. So unless there's an insider who tells me that this is money, but if with the way they carried it, you wouldn't even think, like, it was just normal. So nobody would even think that they're even carrying money, unless somebody who knows that this is actually money, or somebody who has actually monitored them. But I think that there were a lot of security lapses, and I think that the Ghana police, if their cameras are indeed working, they can trace from where the shop is, and then check the routes that the
and now we have a number of cameras in town.
Yeah, I guess when it happened to me, and there was one at my junction, and it was actually not.
It was not working.
It wasn't working. So we're not able to. We actually were able to trace them from other cameras that were distant, because people gave description of the car. So with the time we were able to. But the one at the junction wasn't working. So if they're all working, they have cameras that are working with the CCTV footages that we have of the car. They should be able to...
I get your point. It could have even got the car number and all of that. But in this, just to move on to the papers, in this particular situation, apart from some have suggested it could have been an inside job, but the bit about, you wouldn't think the sacks, look, people can put 2 and 2 together, especially if they've seen you do this once or twice.
Yes.
This is a gold dealership, right? A jewelry store or something of the sort. From time to time, you are carrying. Don't think that everybody would think maybe it's not. Why do you think people sometimes target people from banks who have maybe a backpack or are carrying a certain envelope, brown envelope or something? Why do you think they are targeted? Do the people know for sure? Sometimes it may be an inside job. At other times, it's observation. And criminals do this. So, I mean, don't take the risk. That's the whole point. Carrying that kind of, I don't know, but
following
that's
security issues for a long time, and even in my community, setting up watchdog committees and all that. All the times that people have been targeted and robbed. Okay, when you look into the matter, the person is like, I just signed a deal and I decided to bring the money home, and I get home and I'm robbed. And it's happened more than once, even right in my community. So you realize that, why is it that on days that you don't have the money, the people don't come and rob? But all the times and all the people that are robbed, most of the time,
and some people have been saying that the banking system should be investigated, because sometimes the tip-offs are from the very financial agencies where people are cashing.
It is possible.
Some people say that.
It is possible. I don't know for sure.
Well, let's get into the papers now. I'll start with the Daily Graphic newspaper, so we can go very quickly. Graphic holds dialogue on education tomorrow. Special supplement on pre-tertiary education. AI fears ahead of December 7. Media watch to counter fake news. There's Labadi Beach Hotel pays record $16.5 million dividend to SNIT. First Bank, and that's interesting, Labadi Beach Hotel pays record 16.5 million Ghana cedi dividend to SNIT. And you know why I'm stressing that? Because there was the whole Rock City bit as well. First Bank Ghana posts 36% growth in profit in third quarter. On the back page, Heart of Lions tame Kotoko. And my own Krobia Asante Kotoko falling there, down the pecking order. So let's start from the main news. Artificial intelligence has come to support work in different forms, but its deployment has equally come with an array of threats, including misinformation and disinformation. With a sophistication that mimics reality, AI has been abused by miscreants who have turned it into a vessel for fake news. In the serious matter of national elections, such as presidential and parliamentary polls, the threat is even more significant and frightening, given that officials could be cloned and broadcast or published to be declaring results. But the Executive Secretary of the National Media Commission, George Sapong, has urged Ghanaians to moderate their fears, as his outfit has launched a special app dubbed Media Watch to deal with misinformation and disinformation in the lead up to the December 7 general election. This matter has become, it's spiraling out of control in some settings. Now people can add artificial intelligence, deep fake, and a number of things and create certain things. And if the target audience is not AI or IT or deepfake savvy, you will go along with it and believe. I don't know whether you saw some time back, former President Obama and images of his doing this and that, and it was all fake. In fact, just yesterday, and this is part of the misinformation or disinformation. Someone sent me a TikTok, whatever. I am not on TikTok, so I just had to download it, watch the thing, and then delete it. I don't use that app for personal reasons. And apparently someone puts there one of my blunt thoughts, right? A picture, not anything, on mining. And the person goes to cut Kennedy Japan speaking about something from about 2 years ago and puts it under the thing, making it as though it were referencing me, right? Such a person, I'm going to follow up, and that person may get arrested because it is the beat up and, remember that saga. And someone points out to the person there that actually what you're saying is not right, and that the information the person is using from the minerals, there's not the Minerals Commission, there's a repository, is actually, the picture he took, the information there is actually correct. But, so you see, people within this frame will misinform and disinform, disinformation being intentional. And that is why we really ought to be careful. I don't know what your take is on this matter and the use of AI, especially...
Yeah, it's very true. In recent times, with the days getting closer to the elections on the 7th of December, you find on social media, I'm on all the social media platforms, I see most of these things. And then they make quotes of a journalist or a politician, and then they add your news logo to it. Let's say they make a quote, they design a flyer, and then they'll put, let's say, Join News over there.
They do it to us all the time.
Yeah, they do, and they do other media houses. They do sometimes a video, you can see the person talking, but then what the person is saying is not what the person is saying. And sometimes when I look at them, depending on what I read, because if you look at the design, it's just, I take it and I compare it to original designs that have come from the outfits. And you cannot differentiate. But when I look at the words, I'm like, well, Joint News actually put this on their website. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I don't think it's true. So right now, I'm not an expert in...
and sometimes all you can do, the best thing, go online. Go and see, is that actually on myjoyonline.com?
Yeah.
You will realize that there's nothing like that. Or you can go on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, and the rest, and you'll realize that no, this is not. That's sometimes the simplest way of authenticating.
For me, now when I see most of them, I can't even tell which one is the correct one, which one is the fake one. So when I look at it, I'm waiting to hear other portals talking about it or like it becoming trending before I know it's true. When I heard about the death of Ike Adonko, when I saw, I was like, oh, this fake something, because I'm sure it's our opponents who are putting this in the system to make sure our people feel scared that the numbers are going to change on the ballot. So I just wait until afternoon. I realized that, other people, portals have reported it. And I was like, it's true. Because in this day and age, you can't tell which one is right and which one is fake. And getting to the elections on the 7th of December, given the way this election is very important to the people of Ghana, and with all the tensions that are building up. Today, look at some of the major arms of government. Look at what's happening between the judiciary, and look at what's happening with the legislature. And with the tensions coming up, I can just imagine somebody making a fake video of the electoral commissioner declaring a particular political party as victors in the election whilst she hasn't even declared. And then subsequently coming to declare the right results, what is going to happen. So I think that the education in the run-up to the elections should also be intensified. That not everything that we see...
Who does the education? You, the political parties, should also be doing the education of your members and the leaders of your parties, because both of your parties, NDC, MPP, have called elections in the past. You realize that, we have won, or this, we are in a comfortable lead, and all of that. Your parties must also desist from doing that, because when you do that, what you do is you give your faithful a certain picture. And if the end result is not that picture, it could lead to chaos. I mean, both sides have done it.
NPP,
NDC, which is why, while we must be educating people, wait till the Electoral Commission declares. Or even if there's deep fake, go to reliable news sources like Joy FM, Joy News and the rest, Adom and the rest. Check. Is that what they are saying? If we are saying the same thing, that it is credible information. If it isn't, then it isn't. But you people also have a responsibility. Don't go calling elections before the EC calls elections. So you bear some responsibility as well.
Oh, yes,
Educate your members.
The political parties have a great responsibility. If you look at the elections from 2000, 2004 till now, you realize that at one point in time, you find either the NDC, NPP calling elections before the Electoral Commission calls on the elections. But I'm saying that with the 2024 elections, tensions are so high. So all political parties and even the media houses should all restrain themselves from calling elections before the Electoral Commission calls the election. And the Electoral Commission should be up and doing. They should be very quick with the job that they are going to do. We shouldn't have Electoral Commission declaring multiple results. Or somebody might come out.
I get your point. Let's make tracks.
Yeah.
So Labadi Beach Hotel pays 16.5 million Ghana cedi dividend, record 16.5 million Ghana cedi dividend to SNIT. Let me quickly do that story. So Ghana's top 5-star destination, Labadi Beach Hotel, has paid 16.51 million Ghana cedis as dividends to its sole shareholder, the Social Security and National Insurance Trust. Presenting the check at its annual general meeting recently, the managing director of Labadi Beach Hotel, David Eduafo, said the feat was a remarkable one that underscored the hotel's unwavering commitment to excellence and solidified its position as the flagship of Ghana's hospitality industry. Mr. Eduafo, who is also the CIMG Marketing Man of the Year 2023, declared, quote, "Every accolade and satisfied guests are testament to the passion and commitment of our entire team." All right. Then let me also look at, all right, I think these other ones, I may rather go on the international front. This story really caught my interest. 29 Nigerian children may be sentenced to death for protesting against government, in fact. 29 children could be facing the death penalty in Nigeria after they were arraigned for participating in a protest against the country's record cost of living crisis. Can you imagine that? 4 of them collapsed in court due to exhaustion before they could enter a plea. A total of 76 protesters were charged with 10 felony counts, including treason, destruction of property, public disturbance, and mutiny, according to the charge sheet seen by the Associated Press. According to the charge sheet, the minors ranged in age from 14 to 17. Frustration over the cost of living crisis has led to several mass protests in recent months. In August, at least 20 people were shot dead and hundreds more were arrested at a protest demanding better opportunities and jobs for young people. And maybe I should end with this. The death sentence was introduced in the 1970s in Nigeria, but there have been no executions in the country since 2016. And that is why sometimes when you have in Ghana a protest or demonstration, no matter what the dynamics are, and then certain people get put in the cooler without certain processes, you start asking yourself questions. We definitely don't want to get here. Any quick reactions, and then we'll be done with the daily graphic.
It's absurd for a country in West Africa in this day and age to do these to children. I don't know how their constitution is, but when you come to Ghana, I think that then our democracy is doing well, because when you look at the Juveniles Act and a minor who goes against the law, you see, we try to protect the person. And even journalists are not even allowed to show their face or publish their names, even though they've gone against the law, and how we even treat them. But for people to go and demonstrate against the cost of living in the country, and what you just read, some of them were shot earlier. Of course, the kids or the protesters would also, at one point in time, maybe destroy properties or something. But why should they undergo something like this? And if it's happening in a country that's very close to us, and ECOWAS, a certain idol, AU, a certain idol, they'll wait for the matter to get worse. And trust me, with the way Nigeria is, if the government should go overboard with some of these things, we should expect,
you remember the NSAS?
Yeah, we should expect a widespread protest. And it's not good for any of us. Right. When there's an issue in Nigeria, the closest country that they like, that they are okay and comfortable with, is Ghana, and they are going to flood Ghana here. So what is happening there should be a concern to Ghana. I think the president should add his voice to it.
And I said that was the last, but I couldn't resist adding this one. I was so happy. First black woman leads Conservatives. I'm talking about Kemi Badenoch becoming the Conservatives' new leader, and the first black woman to head a major British political party last Saturday after winning a leadership contest on a promise to return the party to its founding principles. And of course, she now replaces former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. That's something positive. I mean, people have called for reparation and all of that in the Commonwealth. At least these little steps are positive steps. I'm not saying if someday Kemi becomes Prime Minister, there's going to be any reparation, but I'm saying it's a good step. I didn't like Keir Starmer's rhetoric on that, but it also is what it is. I think Africa should, while I think reparation wouldn't be a bad thing, I think Africa should move on. The problems we are facing today, a lot of them are, some of them can be alluded to the colonialist powers. Even this carving out of Africa, the Berlin, thing, is because of them. Some of the problems we are facing on the continent, it's because of them. But a lot of the problems we are facing today are not because of the imperialist forces, not the French, not the British. It is because of we ourselves. Callousness of political leaders. Callousness, wickedness. I think if you asked me, I would say that the leaders who took over from independence, I'll put the likes of Nkrumah out, Patrice Lumumba, Nyerere, some of those people, I'll take them out. The rest are the wicked ones who have led us where they've been more wicked to us than the colonialist forces. More wicked.
The way the system is, the colonial masters have designed a system that will make us always dependent upon them. So right now, even though they are out of the system, for some reason, with all the resources that we have in Africa, we have gold, we have everything here in Africa, we still depend on them. And then we send our raw materials to them, they process, even the gold, they process it and then they bring it back to us expensive. I was doing a tour.
That's not because that's a chain you could have easily broken.
Yeah, so,
you know how much the Dutch make every year from cocoa? They don't grow cocoa. From chocolate, actually, specifically. Why is it Belgium also the chocolate capital of the world? Brussels. Why is it? You see, we have all of these things. The Swiss, the Belgians, the Dutch. Do you know how much they make out of
that's why I agree your
and
point
that I'm saying don't blame them, blame us. Because if we had put systems in place, why is it that your gold, you like taking it out raw, right? And then people in the UAE, India, Turkey, and others will buy them. Now turn them into trinkets and other things. And then you will go and buy it at 7 times, 8 times the price because they've added value to it. Why don't you do that here?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I agree your point. But then also, lastly, we should blame ourselves because, you see, at one point in time, despite all the structures that the colonial masters put in place for us to depend on them, when you look at even the history of Ghana, you look at somebody like Achampon, when he came and he said, Ientia, and then everything was ingrown here in Ghana, we could see that the Ghanaian economy, agriculture and everything was booming and all that. You look at what's happening in Rwanda and all that. You see, you look at what happened in Libya. You look at what happened under Jerry John Rawlings. And all that. So if we are leaders, we ourselves, we decide that we are not going to go that path again and want to put our nation on the right path, I think we'll be able to do it. Look at what's happening in ECOWAS.
Right. Let's get into your stack of papers. Give us some of the headlines, and if you'd like to look into some of the stories, let's get into them. So you're starting with the Ghanaian Times.
The Ghanaian Times. I like this one very much. The upcoming 2024 presidential elections. So this is President Akufo-Addo speaking. He says, I'll hand over to the winner, President assures nation. So His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has spoken today, and I like this very much as a member of the NDC. He's saying that he's going to hand over power to the winner.
But that's what our constitution says anyway.
There's been concerns in recent times that senior members of the NPP keep calling that they won't hand over power. The president says he can't hand over power to former President John Dramani Mahama. So if you're saying this today, I think it's the right step. And I'm sure there are lots of things that have gone on at the back end. Now here we have activated charcoal improves kidney function in people with chronic kidney disease, an emergency poison treatment remedy. I don't know whether you've heard about this issue before, that charcoal neutralizes poison.
Well, I've read.
But reading here today, it says one study One study, Vasari et al. In 2013 suggests that activated charcoal helps to prevent cellular damage to the kidneys and liver and supports healthy adrenal glands. This is done by removing toxins and chemicals routinely from the body. Wow, I've heard about it, you know, in our traditional...
I mean, charcoal and red oil. I'm talking of red oil, proper red oil, not mixed with Sudan 4 dye and all of that, have been known to have, I think, anti-inflammatory, anti-poison effects. I mean, these are remedies that have been with us for a long time. If you know anything about village life, you would also know that these things are applied from time to time. But charcoal itself has those properties, which is why now you would see a lot of toothpaste and other things, even facial products with activated charcoal. But of course, you also have to watch what kind of charcoal you are using.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because charcoal, we know the wood, they make it from wood. I don't know whether there's a particular kind of charcoal, that does that, or just any charcoal would be able to do that. But that's a good thing. Now we have lots of things at our disposal.
Right.
We are shunning them, and then we are moving towards the white. Now even most of the toothpaste are going back to using of charcoal. That whitens the teeth, so it's a good thing. Now here we have what? Vote for NDC in December elections. There's the Chairman General of the NDC speaking, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. So here he was speaking in Sunyani. He says that what? Electorate in the Sunyani municipality of the Bono region have been encouraged by Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, to cast their votes in large numbers for the National Democratic Congress candidate John Dramani Mahama in the upcoming general elections, with the aim of fostering development in the area. I think there's a very good call from the chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, and we expect the electorate and Ghanaians to vote massively to have the biggest win ever in the history of the Fourth Republic for a presidential candidate and a political party. You know, amidst all this economic hardship, amidst all this failed promises that the current government have shown to the people of Ghana, and they are still doing their arrogance, not accepting their fault. But then the reality on the ground is that things are not well. You look at all the economic indicators, and you realize that none of them is doing better. With a political party that toured Ghana in 2016, where you have somebody who claimed he was the economic messiah that was come to liberate Ghana from our economic woes. And then at the time, you look at all the economic indicators. Let's say the exchange rate at the time, 4.2 to $1, and says that when the fundamental of the economy is weak, the exchange rate will expose you. And today it's about 16.7, almost 17 Ghana cedis to $1, unemployment and all that. I think it's the best call for the National Democratic Congress chairman, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, to call on Ghanaians to vote massively. And when they vote massively, we'll tell every politician that when you come and mess up, this is what is going to happen to you. Yeah, we have FDA, GSA launch harmonization initiative to boost industry and SMEs growth. I think it's a very good thing. Yeah, and then also we have
limited time, so I would suggest you also
the
get
next
into
paper,
the Daily Guide newspaper as well.
Daily Guide, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the front page headline. It says, vote for your future, Bawumia to the youths. I mean,
recently at that youth interaction, talking about digitalization and the rest at the Boteman Sports Center, he did mention that former President Mahama wouldn't or have to come anywhere close to the presidency because he did not understand the impact of digitalization and the rest, and that it would actually be scary having the former president there. How do you react to that?
How does Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia call a man who has contributed so much to the digitalization drive in Ghana that he doesn't understand what digitalization, the agenda is? Now, let's talk about the Accra Digital Center. Who built it? And the Minister of Communication, also right here in one of your media houses, admitted that that was a very good thing done by John Dramani Mahama, and then it's something that they need to build upon. Way before Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, became the Vice President and the flag bearer of the NPP today, when you look at the interoperability, at the time that the NDC government, at the time that we gave contract to a company to do a comprehensive report and a study of the money transaction in the banking system. Where was he? And then people were sending money from different networks already before he became president. So if you say John Dramani Mahama does not understand this thing, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is running away from talking about the economy.
Okay, point blank. Let's move on to other stories.
Mahama is a threat to democracy. Information Minister, the Information Minister, Fatimatu Abubakar, has sounded the alarm on former President John Dramani Mahama's rhetoric, labeling it as a threat to Ghana's democracy. Speaking on Asempa FM's Ekosi, saying, Madam Abubakar expressed disappointment for the former president's criticisms of independent state institutions, which she believes under. I don't know what President Mahama said as a threat to any of our state institutions. All the state institutions are not immune to criticism. So if you think that they are doing something, we can look at some of these.
We really have to go. So maybe we'll just do the remaining headlines and then get out of here.
Boku killings reached 21. This is a very sad. Driver shot, car bent over the weekend.
We've seen that story. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, I think this one I've seen somebody firsthand. I know somebody who has suffered.
You know someone who suffered.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's wrap with these. The Ghanaian publisher Ursula explains 5G shared network model. Optimistic Ghanaians will be served better. And Bawumia outlines plans to tackle youth unemployment. And finally, the Daily Democrat, NPP legacy to Ghanaians is corruption. That's according to Mahama. Binduri MP supports 250 constituents with skills training. Reverend Dr. Ebenezer Adakwa-Yadom, a beacon of integrity in Ghanaian politics and faith. And that's how we are capping it off. Final words, maybe some 20 seconds.
Yeah, I'll urge all the people of Ghana that we have 34 days more to the elections.
Actually less. But let's
33 days more to the elections on the 7th of December. So I urge you that based on the current situation, how we feel in our pockets, the economic hardship and all that, when we go to the polls, let's all vote for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Wherever you are, look for the umbrella and vote for presidential umbrella, parliamentary the umbrella.
All right. And let me also reiterate that in this morning's conversation, like I started talking about, there was no proper balance because the person who was supposed to represent from the MPP was not here. Not our fault. We are not to blame for that. Happy birthday to Jada Aseda Kumia Owusu Odame. Jada Aseda Kumia Owusu Odame. May the Almighty exceptionally bless you and make you a significant example among your equals and generation in Jesus' name. Amen. Jada Aseda Kumia Owusu Odame. And it's from Sami Odame and the rest of us here at the Multimedia Group. Well, stay with us. Sports is coming your way shortly.
Time now to bring you sports here on the AM show with me, Muftao Nabila Abdullahi, Ghana's African Games gold medalist in the men's high jump. Kadman Evans Yamwa risks not graduating from school by December 2015 if he's not able to pay school fees. This is because his school, Central University of Missouri, withdrew his scholarship because his eligibility to compete in the NCAA has expired. He's been explaining to Joy Sports how he arrived here.
3 months ago, when the semester began, I had 1 year of eligibility to do sports for my university. And my scholarship was depending on this eligibility. Since like I'm an athlete, they will pay for my tuition and everything. However, when there was a change of management, this eligibility, according to the NCAA, I had like 6 years of school. So they strike out the eligibility I had, which made my tuition taken away from me. I tried solving it with the management up here. At least I've spent 2 years up here, so at least they should pay my last semester remaining so I could graduate from school. However, as I said, their hands are tied. We did everything we could, but my scholarship couldn't be granted since there was a change of management. And I've tried other means of getting money to pay for my tuition. All these means have like not come by so easily. Like nobody has responded so far. I've tried all I could and all I can. So in short, like my scholarship was taken away from me, and then there's no way I could pay that tuition on my bill right now. So.
Carmen Evans Yemwa is calling on Ghanaians and other corporate bodies as well as individuals to support him pay his tuition. It's about $15,000. The school has told him that by December 15, if he doesn't make payment, they will get a debt collection company to come after him and take their money for them. Now let's hear from the president of Ghana Athletics, Bao Fuseni, who has been speaking to Joy Sports, and he says that his office will do all they can to support the athletes.
We've heard it over the media, not officially. I would have wished the athletes write officially to Ghana Athletics for our intervention. But nonetheless, we are working to see how we can support him. Everything boils down to eligibility. We can talk about it later. But that's not the time for us to dwell on the issues or the problems. We are looking at the solution, how we are going to support him. So we are talking to stakeholders and the ministry to see how best we can support him to be able to complete his school this December. So let's pray. We'll do what we can do to support him.
I was meant to understand that he has a deadline of December 15. I don't know if you know this, and how quickly is he going to get that support?
I can't give a deadline because I'm also talking to people. I hope within this month we should be able to get the support for him so that he doesn't meet the 15th deadline next month. It will be very painful. Such a talented athlete will not be able to graduate from his school. So we'll pray and we'll work towards ensuring that he gets the money, the 15,000 to be able to pay before the end of this month.
Let's do some boxing now, and Ghana's John Lai won his fight via unanimous decision against his Nicaraguan opponent over the weekend. Lai, who's also WBO Africa featherweight champion, went through the entire round of 12 bouts and secured victory.
There you go, double and triple up on the chat. Oh, good one. Get him out of there. 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 Get him out of there.
LeBron scores the fight 80-69. Alexander Leonard scores the fight 80-69. And Gina Griffin scores the fight 80-69. For your winner by way of unanimous decision.
Now let's hear from Lai, who has been speaking, thanking Ghanaians for throwing their weight behind him and also his technical team for the support they've given to him so far. Now let's bring you highlights of some Ghana Premier League matches, and we start with Kumasi Asante Kotoko. They won their game. They lost their game rather against Heart of Lions at the Boase Lenkley Stadium, and this is their second defeat in successive matches. That has further deepened their woes as the Ghana Premier League new season continues.
Back for Ines Susop this man. Bubakar Ouattara.
Now, this was a lovely idea, and I was thinking of
to get their first goal. That's brilliant.
It's whipped up front by, oh, here comes a chance for Hasselhoff. It's Hamza. Hamza! Oh, is it? Kwapina Plati for Accra Hasselhoff. Them the tenterhooks.
Accra Hasselhoff has broken the deadlock.
Benjamin Asari edging the first arm.
I mentioned that if Hamza is able to time his run, he's definitely going to score or create a chance for Accra Hasselhoff.
Well, look at his movement. Business Maka Nordin Abdullahi, and he slots it big times. Or how many minutes will he do that in his game? Football is.
Matches that were played in the Ghana Premier League, and as I mentioned earlier, Kumasi Asante Kotoko suffered a 1-0 loss at the hands of Heart of Lions, and Vision FC, they sat at home and drew 0-0 against Giana Stars. Instrotuma played out a 2-2 stalemate against Bechimi United. Brekum Chelsea also drew 2-2 against newly promoted Ghana Premier League side Basake Holy Stars. And Kerala United sat at home and lost 1-0 to Nations FC, and Bibiani Gold Stars, they drew against Dreams FC. So Bibiani Gold Stars is the only team yet to suffer a loss in the new Ghana Premier League season, and they sit at the summit of the Premier League table. Now let's...
Welcome back. This is the AM show. Shortly, I'll be taking you to Adabraka, the scene of that dastardly armed robbery. But before that, let me tell you about this year's CompuGhana Cashback, which has been named Prime Cashback Season. And it's packed with incredible deals and exciting surprises. Now, this Prime Cashback, CompuGhana is bringing you exclusive discounts, prime savings, awesome surprises when you shop products from any of their branches nationwide. You can find products from your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, TCL, HP, Lenovo, Dell, Midea, Nasco, Techno, Infinix, Itel, Huawei, and many more. All you have to do, visit any of the CompuGhana branches nationwide and enjoy exclusive discounts on all their products. CompuGhana has a wide range of IT-related products, including mobile phones and electronic products such as laptops, printers, desktops, mobile phone, tablets, televisions, fridges, home theaters, air conditioners, gas cookers, and more. Now, what's more amazing is that this year's Prime Cashback with CompuGhana has got great prizes with instant gifts and cash prizes for your shopping experience. When you shop at CompuGhana this season, be on the lookout for the surprise team, answer a question correctly, and win instant cash and gifts on the spot. So just take advantage of that and get ready to win. You deserve this opportunity too. Rush to CompuGhana now. Promo runs from now till December. You can visit CompuGhana.com or reach them on 0302 75 2020 for more information. All right, so here we go now. We're heading to Adabraka, where in recent times, I'm sure you all saw the videos and everything that happened. My very own sister, if you like, Sweetie Aboagye, is on hand. She's on the ground to give us a report from there. She's going to be interacting with some people from there. Sweetie Aboagye, if you can hear me, usher us through what you're gathering so far.
Well, thank you so much, Benjamin. And we are here at Kabest Jewelry, right here in Adabraka, where we witnessed that broad daylight robbery about 48 hours ago. This morning we are here. I mean, reactions have been pouring in from social media, among our own circles at home, in the offices. But we are here this morning to understand how are the residents feeling this morning. I've seen that there are some shops that are open, and shortly we'll be interacting with some of the residents who actually witnessed this incident. But I just want to show you how the bullets that were fired into the air, when they fell into the ground, they were able to perforate this third place. And there are about 4 of them. We are told that the police were here. They've gathered all the evidence, which means that they were able to dig out the casings from the ground. And it's not only there. We can see some, we were shown a number of them. I think the car is parked over that, so we can't see that. But let's head over here too. You can see that a shop is opened. A number of them, people have come out. It's Monday, and they'll tell you that life has to go on. But follow me now. Let's interact with residents who were actually here during the time of that robbery, what they saw, how it made them feel, and ultimately how confident are they right now as we speak in the security here in Adabraka. They'll tell you that they've been here. Some of the people I'll be speaking to tell me that they've been here for like 40 years now, and this is a very new experience for them. And guess what? This is the second time this particular Kabes jewelry shop has been robbed in 3 or 4 months. But let's hear the story from the citizens themselves. Good morning, and thank you for speaking to us. Please, you can join us. Let's have a conversation. Over nature with them. Eddie, so we want to understand, first of all, what did you see on Saturday? What happened?
Anopa, best 10:30 going, 10:15 going. And now, car back we park your motor no see no. 4x4. E park you sa be at least best 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Nti akobi by inside. Otaba is a customer. On the ton good. Into parking the car into kotokonu, scan kotokonu we no no mo share car no ma no. Papa we oye don shop. O mo share car no ma no. O mo share car no ma no pe. Into oko na Robert ni share no bar reverse.
Papa way now they can no. Okay, so but you carry the load and put it in the car. Okay, but you were here with them. All right.
Omudosu. Nti ohana mo ni share na papa no bar reverse. Bar reverse on the car no. Be motor ne si ona car no echi no I got na Robert Jano so say open the gate, open the door. Into on into mo shoot car no pa. Into mo shoot car no akwa no. Obie do na baku jina kan boot nto obie pe no 25 na gbogbori original boot nu omu site omu fast ka no ko shegun na baku 2 scan no 2 here.
Hold on, I need to do a translation so that our audience can follow us. So he's basically narrating what he saw on Saturday. He says that after some people who are regular people who often help to load the money and everything else into the car, helped to do that. And then the car was trying to move away to wherever their destination was. And then this car that had the armed robbers in it crossed them on the junction where the motorbike is. I'll show you shortly after this. And they ordered the man to get out of the car, and he refused. So they started firing at the car. Did he get hurt? Did the driver get hurt? Deny. Okay, so they shot at the car, and the driver got frightened, and so he opened the car and they ran away. The driver ran away. Okay, and opened the car door, and so they got access now and started taking the money away. Okay, how did this whole experience make you feel?
Oh,
you told me that you've lived here for 40 years now.
Let's say 40 years. Ya nyina ha na ebi diago. Your boss ni papa na wo. We papa we ni ya nya wa ni ya. We are happy 2 times. We come 3 months ni. There by no we dia no ya work here ba ku na si wa no.
First one, how was it? So he's saying this is the second time in about 3 months that this is happening. And it's the same Kabes jewelry shop. The same shop has been robbed. This would be the second time. The first one, what happened?
First one no. I'm a parking car no. No we are inside. I'm on the car, I'm use car, I'm right inside. Moto, I'm the moto never, I'm right inside the fast, standing good, ni bia the coy. I was one show more corner, want you papa. I'll be paying on the coy. Police over investigation, my structure, Yantishi. Second time, Sunni.
Did they beef up security after the first time? So he also narrated how the first time they came in, when fired warning shots, got inside the shop. The first time, the difference is that they went into the shop, took jewelry, gold. They tell me that is raw and processed gold and money and everything else. And this time around, they're back. So I'm asking, did they beef up security after the first incident?
You're coming.
Like after the first time na police buy investigation in no BB to tighten security ana.
First I am fast can call no. Best one police car to me patrol. Best draw 2 weeks. And baby Nima Paroka Nima police car to me park 5 to 10 minutes. Best 3 weeks come back bill.
Do you know the person who owns the shop? Has he said anything to you so far? What are the people saying? How do people feel about this morning? I've seen that be shops, but are you feeling safe?
Problem.
So after the first incident, there was a patrol. The police were patrolling this place for about 2 weeks, and then they abandoned the area. But the argument on social media, same way about any analysis, but we want to hear from you. Monamowa has said, almost say driver and I say oche. Driver no or car red no. I say omo pake can sikanu can anyway. I thought oche or do, but normal. Now you were telling me.
Customer ni newa. Ono tabe tongo good wa. Otumba akra ni meko. This is not the first time. Otaba hapa on pentem normal. Nta dia no kaza utumi say chuking obi obi o yes adie no. Nti e pe IGP no fa ne wunhyem. Je ni e pe police war no patrol ha maye. On patrol 24 hours. Any problem no. Dan pa no bem.
Well, there was a lady, Mamino Kowom. There was a lady here who was telling us that she heard, I think they're getting here for us, she heard the gunshots about a kilometer away. I mean, about a kilometer away from her home. And then she wasn't sure whether it's a gunshot, but they all had to just run helter-skelter. Some stranger even ran into her room because that was the experience. It was really loud. But no one has been hurt. I do want to speak to somebody else who, yeah.
Run away inside toilet. He's the landlord.
Oh, let's talk to the landlord.
Run away inside toilet.
This is the landlord here, and they're calling him honorable. Honorable, they say you ran into the toilet. But what was your experience?
I was sitting outside here. When I heard the gun. And my friend that I was sitting down, he was looking at them. And he told me that the gunman is heading towards us. So we have to leave the place because they don't want us to see what is going on. So we left. But I didn't go into the toilet. But the bottom line of this case is that, the guy, I don't know, he had a friend. And that friend is misleading him. Because when you are doing such business here, we all know the money that they bring here. You have to protect. Hey, go back. You have to protect your interests. There is no security here up to the time. It's almost 30 years he came here. So there's no security here. And secondly, when they came to rob you, you have to get sense. If you doesn't have sense at that time, you have to get sense to bring in a security. There was no security, so the people went.
So the entire jewelry shop was unguarded. The first and second time.
Yes, and that his friend, always put up a gun on his pistol.
Is he a bodyguard?
He's not a bodyguard. He says gun, and he doesn't give him advice. When you speak to the man himself, before he listens to that his friend, and he will not take what you have been advising him. So when this thing happened, I confronted them and told them that they see what has happened because I was here and I heard a gunshot. I haven't seen some before. See? So I got angry with them. So I made my mind that if that guy comes here, I will not allow him to stay this area again.
As in you are evicting him because you are the landlord. This is your property. Are you evicting the jeweler, the best jeweler? Are you evicting him or you're saying that the friend?
The friend who have been advising him, he didn't advise him very well. Because you have to protect your interests. The security has to be here. If the security is here, we are safe. You understand me? But it has happened already. But
so
what I believe is that I've been seeing some pictures on the social media. That means the traffic lights have been watching the car. And they said it has gone to Ashama.
But this morning, that one is for the police investigation, right? But this morning, how do you feel in terms of security? You are a landlord here, and this is your home. This was your territory. This is what happened here. How do you feel?
For me, I'm a man. But when this thing has happened, now they've gone. They will go and plan for another action again. And so, because they realized that there was no security and they came first time and they got what they want. The second time, too, they realized that there was no security.
Were you able to recognize anyone from the first time? Do you think it's the same group of people?
The first time I wasn't here, but the second time I was here. But those people who were here the first time, one of the guys I was sitting with him told me that the first time, the one who came on the junction here, he was the one he saw at the car. Oh. So yeah, so if that is the case, then it means that it was the same people.
So it's just suspicion that you cannot confirm for now yet that is the same group. I do want to speak to that woman. Auntie, you'll find her by. Madam, come. Great. So she has a unique story. Tell me, then they see what experience. What's the bullets no or gunshots no or what them? Cow story nature.
Right them. Now me best man ban. Into me fan phone permit see idea them. To be a gate na boy ba ko them kojo. E dey na e ba so knockout. The 30 second one see there be what dey tu. Into na small game so much idea o. Brookers. To want me fair man so kan. Don't go far about Franimla. To want man be so deal me ka be wura me dem. And to say a baby, MP, I'm so my opinion is on conco about Fanomo Dinesi. That me am shame if the first one I buy, my yam share. May take a capanama coma, mintimi.
Into PA Behunia, a coso.
Yeah, I'm a Muslim for a Johnny, a bassy. I'm Sako inside. It's a joint shop, a bit so a posit.
Hey, I'm curious to find out. Mamma no toy could see on the money.
Yenuni baby.
Well, here we are in Adabraka at Kabes Jury. We just spoke to the landlord, some eyewitness recounts of what really happened on Saturday. They say that they feel very unsafe. I have one more person who wants to add his voice to it. Maybe you can do this briefly before I hand over back to you, Benjamin. So tell me your experience of what happened. And
in fact, when I heard a gunshot, I just stood up from bed. So when I came out, I didn't came out with a boxer. So because of the gunshot made me realize that it was the first people because the way the gunshot sounded, you knew that it was the first people because it was the same. There was no change in the gunshot. So when I came out and I saw that they started throwing the money before they left, so we all ran the altar skelter and entered various houses. But because of the Muslim students, they were on break. So when they came out, so most of them were running, crying because of the gunshots. So a lot of people helped them secure them into their houses and all those stuff. But the problem is the security.
Did they pick up the money? Did the residents pick up the money?
As for that, I didn't really notice that. My mind all was on the thieves, the armed robbers who were in, because everyone has to run for his or her safety. So but the more important is that we need a security personnel over here.
Did you see anything unusual? Did you see anybody who looked out of place before the robbery? Did you see anything suspicious before the robbery?
Not really, because I just told you, I just stood up from bed when I heard a gunshot. So when I came, the scene was already done.
Let me get the landlord to speak to us. Landlord, did you see anything unusual before the robbery? The car that was parked, have you spotted it in the area before? Was it parked here for a long time?
Which car are you talking about?
The robber's car.
I haven't seen that car before. And I don't know. The last time they came, they said they brought motorbikes, 3. By this time, before everything happened, when I was in the house, I saw a car do fast. And I realized that they were the people going. But when the camera started capturing it, they brought it on the social media. Then I saw the car. I saw the car that they were using. I haven't seen the car before.
And nothing else was out of place. But did the residents pick the money? The money that was sprayed into the air?
We collected here. We collected all from them. We made sure we collected all from them and gave it to Balfour's boys. I wasn't the one who collected, but I was looking at them, instructing them, and they collected. Everyone who took some of the money.
How much did you gather in all?
Oh, they spread it, we don't know, but it will reach like something. When I see it, it will reach like 30,000.
Wow, so they sprayed 30,000 Ghana cedis cash into the air. Why do you think they did that?
But it was bonded. Bonded. 100 Ghana notes, bonded. So.
Landlord, wasn't an intentional attempt to spray the money or was accidental?
They did that because, you see, they are experienced armed robbers. Because they knew they would change them. So when they spread it, the crowd all came into the streets and they were rushing with the money. So if another car wants to change them, that crowd who are picking the money, they've blocked that car. You see? So it was a strategy for them to do that. But all that we need here is a security. Because if the security are here, all these things will not happen. We have
But the police has been here already, have they not?
The police, they came here after the robbery. So we want the permanent police to stay at his shop there. Even if they are going to take the money, police will follow them. The police have to see the work that they are doing. I don't know why they are preventing the police to come. Because if you are doing such business like this, why do you need to get a security? You see, the police have to charge him to court for not doing that prevention. Because we are at risk. When they started shooting, I ran to my wife was telling me, don't go out there. But I want to go out because some people are also running into our...
Right. Now I see that the shop is locked. We started from there. Who locked it, the police or Mr. Bafo himself?
As for that one, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But yesterday I saw that Bafo's daughter came to open it. And so the key is their shop. That is not the police shop. And that is where it was there the incident happened, but it wasn't the shop. It was in the car. So,
thank you so much. These are eyewitness recounts of, the details of what really ensued here in terms of that broad daylight robbery at Cybersecurity. And we go back there before we wrap up to show you just how the place has been left. It's been locked. It's under lock and key. They're telling us that they can't confirm whether it was the police that locked it or if it was Bafo himself. But yesterday, the landlord tells us that the man's daughter, Bafo's daughter, was here. So here we are. This is the jewelry shop that was robbed. You can see it is locked. It is not open. There's no security guarding this place. In fact, not a single security person or police personnel. But we're told that they have been here before. So this is it. This is the situation this morning, 48 hours after that broad day robbery at Adabraka. Over to you, Benjamin Akakpo.
Thank you very much. And that is Sweetie Aboagye bringing us that, all-encompassing interaction there. Very interesting subject that has been raised and why there was no security mechanism in place there. Well, we'll be joined by our guests to interrogate the crucial issues and find out how all of us can stay safe, especially as these elements, these nefarious elements, have not been apprehended yet. But joining the conversation, we have security analyst Adib Sani joining the conversation. We also have a criminologist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. I'm talking about Dr. Jones Opoku-Ware. Let me say a very good morning to Adib Sani. Good morning, Adib. Can you hear me? Mr. Sani, can you hear me? Adib, let's... Can you hear me, Ben? Okay, I can hear you now. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Opoku-Ware, can you hear me, sir?
Morning to you and your viewers.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining the conversation. Let me start off. I'm sure you've seen the video, the CCTV footage, the different videos. There's the spraying of money and all of that. I will ask first for your foundational comments, your appreciation, basic appreciation of what happened. I'll start with you, Dr. Opoku-Ware.
Well, thank you very much, Ben, and also a very good morning to your viewers. I think basically what I saw, it's something that shows that this is a very well-rehearsed, operation and involve people that are very much, experts in terms of, going for some kind of operations and robberies. So it is something that I think had been planned for a period, And that is what gives me the impression, and as I've said over the period, robberies like these are almost always insider jobs. So everything that happened and the way it was carried out, even the spraying of cash, on the street to distract, people who might pursue them, seems to suggest to me that this was something that was carefully thought through and had been planned over the period. And so it is something that is not a surprise to me.
All right. For you, Adib, what would be your basic appreciation of what happened, based on what you know?
Well, quite obviously, these are very experienced robbers. They obviously were tipped off because they were at a street corner, and they came in at the point the sedan was about to move. So the possibility that they could have been given real-time information is quite high. And they came in, hard, making sure that nobody approaches. They used a fear tactic, they used intimidation, and they were within a very short time able to clinically execute that robbery. And like Doctor said, they sprayed money. So if anyone attempted pursuing them, the streets will be blocked. And we see this in movies, heist movies. So surely these are experienced people, and it would demand experience, so to speak, to be able to, as it were, get them. But surely there's no denying the fact that the business owner was irresponsible with his security. There's no denying that fact. We understand this is not the first of its kind on his business. And surely not the first of its kind within the Adabraka enclave. I don't know. I think a research should be done why Adabraka is so synonymous with such robberies.
But you know that Adabraka as well, even off the top of my head, there are a lot of jewelry shops in Adabraka, and you know that there will be quite a bit of exchange of money among other entities. But within the Adabraka enclave, just off the top of my head, I can count about 4 of them in the Adabraka enclave, barring those that I don't know. So could that be a possibility?
Absolutely, no doubt about that, because jewelry comes with a lot of money. Even without the money, the jewelry itself is worth the risk they take. So I'm not surprised. And also the escape route. I mean, usually before robbers come in, they are able to map out the whole place. When we do this, what do we do next? Where do we go next? How do we abandon the vehicle? How do we transfer the money from the vehicle to another vehicle or a certain destination? I mean, they have it all planned and it's deliberate, okay? And I'm not surprised that a lot of this is happening within that enclave.
Dr. Opoku-Ware, what security lapses do you see immediately, having seen the footage?
Well, what I can see is that basically the shop and its attendants and everybody in there was exposed. There is nothing that was, protecting and covering them. And as my friend Adib has alluded to, he seemed to have information that suggested that this is not the first time that this shop has been attacked, and this should have preempted them. In fact, that there's a possibility they could come after them. Because you see, I've said this over the period that if you look at the patterns of robberies as we've seen it in this country, I mean, if you look at the crime statistics and the data right from 2016 to now, you could see a gradual shift in what we used to call residential robberies to more of street robberies now. And the reason why we have this pattern is that the streets have become more like crime attractors and generators, because you see, you were asking a question of, I think Adib was asking why that place, and you gave him a clue that, look, this is a high, business area, and the kind of businesses that operate there automatically would become a crime attractor and a generator. So if you have such areas, the more reason why we have to put in, more security systems. And I'm expecting that the police, with time or from now, will begin to patrol those areas more and have more, of their personnel stationed there, because of the fact that this is a high, business area, and the tendency for such businesses to generate and attract criminals is very high. And on the part of the shop operators and the businesses, look, we have said this over and over again, that the fact that you are operating, such businesses that attract these huge kind of monies will require that you don't keep monies on you. Because you see, a lot of the time, as I've said, such kind of crimes and robberies in particular are almost always insider jobs. So people that are very close to you will look at a pattern of flow of money, and if they are criminally motivated, will begin to now have different ideas. These are things that we have said over and over the period. So I'm just surprised that for a business like this, once you have had, these criminals coming after you for the first time, you decided to just leave yourself, so open for the second attack to come. So I'm thinking that in terms of the security labs, one, we can look at it from the institutional, side, where we don't have a lot of police presence as a form of deterrence to motivated criminals. And also, I see it also from the business owner's point of view, where they should have been able to also provide their own form of security as a first buffer before even that of the police. So I think that these are the security lapses I'm seeing. And I'm very happy that at least we have some people who were able to capture them on CCTV cameras and all that. I'm hoping that the police should be able to use that to pin, these criminals and then get to them.
All right. For you, Adib, what would be the core security lapses you saw? Apart from the fact that it appeared the jewelry shop, Cabex Jewelry, itself didn't have any security mechanism, especially when they had been robbed the first time. I mean, you say once bitten, twice shy. Apparently, for them, that doesn't apply.
Absolutely. I mean, you can simply write to the police, to the IGP to be specific, and justify why you need security. And this is plausible enough. And I don't see why people don't do that. I mean, running a business in which such huge amount of money, transactions is done, yet you don't have, any security presence there, boggles my mind. Then there's this other issue of how well we know our staff. Because I remember some years ago, there was a robbery incident at a bank at the Accra Mall. I wouldn't want to mention the name of the bank. And investigations later revealed that it was an insider job. A security man in the bank gave the information to the robbers, and they came into the bank. I mean, on many cases, we've also had people going to pick up money from the bank. People from within give them information, these robbers information, and they come after them. That is why we always advise business owners to at least do some little background checks. Just take the credentials to the police. It doesn't cost much. So at least you know the background of your staff before you pick them up. But besides that, I mean, fine, someone might have a clean criminal, record. But midway, the person becomes compromised. So how do you deal with it? By putting in place certain control mechanisms, okay? Right. You don't put one person within a certain rule forever. You rotate. Besides, it is not always necessary to let workers know your movement. I mean, it's not necessary to let them know today someone is coming for money, you are bringing money and all that. Right. Such operations should be done in utmost secrecy. Sometimes I go to the bank, then I see individuals come out of the banking hall with large Ghana must go back, and it's so obvious. It's a lot of money, and you don't see any escort of some sort. So you don't even have to get someone within the bank to give out the information, but even from outside, you see that they are coming out with a lot of money. So we need to follow certain protocols, to throw off the criminals so they don't know you have a lot of money on you. And I heard one of the residents also say that one of the guys, the gentleman who comes for the money had a pistol. Look, a pistol can't do anything in the face of, robbery. I mean, they come in hard. They are holding Kalashnikovs. And they give the first scare tactic by firing straight into the car or perhaps even into the air. You who is holding one pistol and you have like 3 people holding rifles, you dare not. That is why purposive compliance is also important. I mean, in some of these cases, please, don't try to be a hero. Just give them what they need. Because mostly robbers don't intend to kill. Okay, they are coming in for the money. But if you frustrate them in any way, then they might be forced to shoot you.
Yeah, yeah. And for you, Dr. Opoku-Ware, in terms of tracing, because there's been a lot of talk, even as we have this conversation, some people are saying this was clearly an insider job. Adib Sani has spoken about, you know, a lot of these robberies having intel, someone, a mole within the system who gives them information. That is, if the entity is not completely reckless. But in terms of tracing, finding out from the police's end who did what, when, how, what processes do we look at, especially gadgets, phones, and the rest? What procedure does this usually take or follow?
Yeah, so what I expect the police to do is basically to go to the crime scene. You know, they are supposed to, you know, summon and invite everybody, including the owner and all the workers there, and begin to now, you know, talk to them. And if they are gadgets, you know, just as you suggested, mobile phones and all that, they need to review them and see, you know, the kind of calls and the kind of messages that have been sent to who and by who. So these are simple, you know, investigative processes and procedure we expect the police to do. And then also on the crime scene, I think I heard your reporter say that the police have been there and they've been able to retrieve some casings and all that. We expect the police to be able to, you know, do a proper, you know, ballistic analysis of these casings and all that, and be able to, you know, pick them. Sometimes, if these are Kalashnikovs, AK-47s, it's very easy for us to be able to look at the serial numbers of the bullets and probably, you know, try to trace them. So these are things I expect the police to do. These are basic, you know, investigative processes for such kind of operations. And I expect that the police will do a thorough job in that regard.
If you were advising Dr. Opoku-Ware, the owner or owners of Cabex Jewelry, what would you tell them?
Well, what I would tell them is that one, I think if you alluded to that, first, they need to provide security for themselves. Okay, they need to make sure that their place is well secured. And secondly, I think they have to avoid the movement of cash and a lot of cash within their operations. I mean, I don't understand why in Ghana still people don't want to use, you know, some of these, you know, digital processes of transactions. So, for instance, can they operate POS systems? Can they provide operate mobile money systems? You know, I think these are more securitized systems that can avoid and prevent the movement of cash, which easily raises suspicion. Okay, so I'm thinking that these are internal processes and systems that business owners must begin to adopt. Is there a way they can reduce the flow, you know, of cash within their premises so that they don't attract, you know, motivated offenders? Because I've already said that these businesses are already crime attractors and generators. So they have to find some of these ways to you know, as it were, reduce the kind of, you know, attraction that comes to them. Apart from that, they need to work with the police as well. And I'm expecting that within that enclave, because it's a highly business area, the police must work with the businesses, people there, and begin to patrol there. And even if you know, allowed, they should have more like a permanent, you know, station within that stretch, so that at least they can have a better way of protecting all the businesses within that enclave.
I'll go to Adib Sani shortly, but let me also welcome aboard Peter Lanshini Tobu, Superintendent Peter Lanshini Tobu, former executive assistant to the IGP, a former IGP, of course. Mr. Tobu, a very good morning to you. Do we have Peter Lanshini Tobu?
Yes, I'm online. Benjamin, good morning. How are you?
I am well. I hope you are too.
I'm doing great.
All right. Just hold for me briefly. Adib Sani, so for you, if you could give any advice to Cabex Jewelry, what would the advice be?
To the what? I didn't hear that part.
To the jewelry owners, the shop, what advice would you give them?
They have to review their security protocols. That is, if they had any security protocol in the first place. There has to be background checks on all of their staff. They have to cooperate fully with the police, so they are able to comprehensively look into the matter. And they have to be more discreet this time around about the movements of money and jewelry. It is not always necessary to let everybody know. I remember some time ago, I had a problem with my vehicle, so I started in a trotro. And there was this gentleman on the trotro talking on top of his voice on the phone. Me free bank, my Sikano, I want me check, sort of. Everybody could hear that he's from the bank and he had a lot of money on him, so I had to whisper into his ears, excuse my chi, do you have any idea I could be a robber? That's what I told him in the ears. He was like, oh, I'm pa. Then, he stopped talking. So we need to be much more circumspect, exercise a great deal of caution when we are moving with money. And this is a lesson to all other, shop owners, not just jewelry shops. I mean, we have building material shops who do a lot of, transactions on daily basis. And I think it is important that they look at their security protocols closely. As for the police, I wouldn't really have much to say because mostly after such robbery, the robbers watch TV and they listen to radio the following day just to get to know what is going on with what they did the previous day and what the police leads are. So if you're not careful, you give out too much information about what the police should do. It could be inuring to the benefit of the robbers. So I think we would also need to be very careful about some of these things we say.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Adib Sani, a security analyst, and Dr. Pokuwari, of course, a criminologist. But let me focus now on Peter Lanchini Tobu. What do you make of the happenings of just this weekend? What happened? What do you make of it?
Let me say good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners. What happened in Adabraka in broad daylight is an embarrassment to our whole security architecture. Okay. It's an embarrassment and it's a failure for us to bring our citizens to a level that they will be security conscious. I want to deal with prevention, sort of react. What we are doing now, we are reacting to the crime that has been committed. Some years back, we established the emergency command.
Peter Lanchini Tobu, I'm losing you briefly. Supo, I'm losing you briefly. Please move a little and speak up for me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Great. So I'm talking about prevention instead of looking at the reaction. What we are doing now is reacting to the crime that has been committed. But if we look at the preventive aspect, some years ago we established what we call the Emergency Command Center at the police headquarters. And it was purpose to be able to connect systems like this. The CCTV camera at this stage could possibly connect the emergency command because it's a serious threat. And this is the responsibility of the business owner. That when something untoward happens there, within a second or two, it is activated at the emergency command center, and police respond with a minimum, at least a maximum of 5 minutes response. If it had happened like that, I think that we would have been talking about smart policing. And it would have been very easy for the police to get the robbers arrested within 20 minutes after escaping from the scene. That's notwithstanding. My brother, you've heard of family lawyer. Families have lawyers. You've heard of family doctor. Families have doctors. Have you ever heard of family police? Sometimes it's funny. But when it comes to security, everybody believes that we are all security officers. Yes, your personal security is your responsibility. But when we are talking about security at another level, people are trained and they have the expertise to grant you service. The Ghana Police Service is supposed to provide you with a service. And that opportunity for you to be served depends upon how you open up. Armed robbers are attracted to cash. They are motivated by money. So when you generate money in your business, you should know that that is a magnet for robbery. If it is a magnet for robbery, what will you do to provide security for yourself? So if you are expecting the police to be patrolling the area, that is fine. They will be patrolling. But the police do not know, and they wouldn't even know that you have such huge sums of money in cash with you. Right. But your other business partners, they know. And how do you trust everybody? In business, it's not about trust. It's about you.
So would you say those who were robbed failed themselves in terms of security, even before the larger security apparatus could be, brought in? That they failed themselves.
That is the point exactly I'm making. That they themselves, their personal security is not something they've taken seriously. The business security is not something they've taken seriously. And I'm saying that I'm sure they have
In the business, they have lawyers responsible for that business. In the business, if you are working there and you are sick, they have a whole hospital to tell you, please go there. And once in a while, doctors come to give them some education about the health. Have they ever gone to the IGP and said, please, we want standing police for this particular business because we generate so much cash and we can actually be robbed because it is attractive. Have they ever done that? I believe that if they have done that by now, the IGP will have stationed some police officers the day and night to provide them security for them to be able to do their business.
Right.
But I think that everything is fine. So when it happens like this, you push the police to the corner and they begin to react. And if they had gotten enough information from the beginning, they would have been very preventive.
Okay.
They would have been prevented.
Now, just to cap off the conversation, you said you would prefer preventive to reactionary, incidents. But now the police are stuck with reaction because that's the only thing that can be done. In a situation like this, I'm not saying give us details that would compromise the work of the police, but what sort of steps ordinarily are taken to nip the situation in the bud and likely grab the perpetrators of this act?
Well, just it's a simple triangle that the police are going to use. There are three things. We have the suspect, we have the victim, and we have the location. The location was compromised, and we have victims. So what is left for the police to deal with now is to look for the suspect. And I'm sure that in looking for the suspect, a lot of things have gone on behind the scenes since the day the incident happened. And I wouldn't want to go into those things. But I'm very quite convinced with modern technology and related issues, this matter should be nipped in the bud. And I believe that the IGP will be on his toes to ensure that these robbers will not escape forever. They will be brought to book at the end of the day.
Peter Lanshini Tobu, we're grateful. Superintendent retired Peter Lanshini Tobu. We're grateful for your time this morning. And so we had Adib Sani, a security analyst. We had Dr. Jones Opokuwari, a criminologist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And you just heard Peter Lanshini Tobu, superintendent retired, who himself also joined the conversation. Stick and stay. We'll be back with more action right here on the AM Show. Well, thank you for staying with us. And if you see those colors behind me, it is because we are talking about the latest interaction, that initiative by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the Vice President, in respect of what his plans are for job creation and digitalization. But all of that is contained in a report from the Botiman Sports Center. Let's watch that.
The atmosphere at the Botiman Sports Complex was electric as over 2,000 young people, both in person and online, gathered to hear the NPP flag bearer share his vision for tackling youth unemployment in the country. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia pledged to equip 1 million youth with IT skills and launch a $100 million fintech fund to support Ghanaian tech startups.
I want to see Ghana build the digital talent we require for the fourth industrial revolution. You need digital talent. This will mean providing digital and software skills to hundreds and thousands of youth. In collaboration with the private sector, we will train at least 1 million youth in IT skills, including software developers, coders, to provide job opportunities worldwide. We will establish a fintech fund with a seed capital of $100 million to attract additional private sector funding to support Ghanaian startups.
Dr. Bawumia also criticized the NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama, calling him an inconsistent leader who fails to recognize digitalization's role in economic transformation, urging Ghanaians to keep Mr. Mahama away from the presidency.
My opponent, the former president, to put it mildly, is very inconsistent. He opposed free senior high school, saying it was bogus and will collapse the economy. But today he says he introduced it. He, as president, introduced the teacher licensure exams. But today, he says he opposes it. He abolished teacher and nursing training allowance. He said he would abolish it even if it cost him the presidency. But today he says he will continue to pay them. He is not committed to it. It's just for political expedience. He has touted in the past infrastructure as one of his achievements. But because our infrastructure record is superior to his, today he says that infrastructure doesn't matter. How can we have a leader who doesn't appreciate the value of digitalization in a digital global economy? He should not be allowed close to the presidency with that mindset.
Well, the big question we've been asking the youth who are gathered here is how sure are they that the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, would be able to deliver on the jobs he's promising them?
He has done it before. He has enrolled so many digitalization projects in Ghana, which is obvious for everyone to see. So we believe in him and we have confidence that he will do it when he comes.
I used to go around to look for where to buy just electricity. Now I can do it and pay via Momo. These are practical solutions, and given the opportunity, I tend to believe him than any other candidate in the sense that these are deliverable and they are clear there for me to see.
Well, the youth of the MPP are so confident that the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, if given the opportunity, would be able to deliver the jobs they so much need for the next 4 years. Reporting from the Boteman Sports Complex here in Accra, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
Well, joining me in the studio, Dennis Miracles Aboagye. He, of course, is Director of Communications of the Bawumia campaign. He is in the studio here with me to elaborate on this. Dennis, good morning.
Good morning, bro.
Apome.
We're good. Yourself?
Okay. By God's grace. We were just laughing before we came on air that we have our own struggles from his end and from my end. But let's look at what happened, just over the weekend and this entire engagement with the youth. Why this engagement in the first place?
To be very honest with you, this election is mainly about the young people of this country. And it's simply so because every other thing we intend to work at hovers around them. So we discuss the core of the economy, and you'd realize that largely you need to be able to tap into the productive human resource that you have for them to all contribute to that space for us to improve, and that's the young people. You cannot continue to have an economy where you're not building the skill set of the young people, and you're not creating opportunities for them even after they acquire the skills. So it is crucial, and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia realized that having created over 2.6 million jobs as of now, we still have millions of young people who still require some jobs to do. And so the question is, how are we able to get these jobs delivered to these young people? And how do we get them along to understand that this is the plan and this is what they need to do? So for example, you have a young person that has some interest in working within the digital economy. And this person needs to know what the plans are. He needs to understand what the initiatives would be in his decision to choose between the 12 or 13 candidates vying for presidency. And so today they know that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has plans to train 1 million young people in digital skills, which includes all forms of digital skills. And on the back of that, he has plans to establish a $100 million fintech fund to support these young people to be able to set up and establish businesses and what have you. And so it was important that yesterday he engaged the Ghanaian youth on what his plans and his specific initiatives would be in terms of job creation for the young people of this country.
He mentions that the youth are his top priority and that he will do everything to sustain them by way of jobs. You do know that the economy is going to be one of the major issues we're going to look at, including job creation ahead of election 2024.
Absolutely.
But the bit about the $100 million for the fintech fund, what shape, what form is it going to take?
Well, it's simply available for you to come up with the idea, incubate it, and then once it's an idea that is believed to be sustainable and workable, the government will give you the necessary push through the fund for you to establish, and then of course you recoup, and then others can also tap into it.
So, but what form? So I have done a lot in that particular space. If you look at EcoBank, for example, it's FinTech Challenge, which is not just within the region. It even sometimes gets participants from outside the region, but with some roots in Africa. It's major. I don't know whether you followed it.
Yes, I have.
There are a number of these on the continent of Africa doing different things. That's why I ask, what shape will it take?
The point is that government believes that is going to be a huge driving force. And so the difference between that of the states and that of EcoBank probably will be to ensure that it's a bit more accessible to a lot of young people. At least let's reduce the bottleneck a bit and make it a bit more friendly in terms of accessing it to these young people. So that would be the major, maybe let's say, departure between what the government would want to do and what private sector would do. You understand that when it comes to private sector, they always have profit in focus. But for government, it's about the social good, and it's about stimulating the economy for all of us. So that would be a major departure from what probably you have experienced.
What I'm more conversant with.
Yes.
Why $100 million? How are we sourcing the money, and how many youth are we targeting?
I mean,
or is it just because you said if you have an idea? How about if you have 1,000 people with an idea, when maybe the fund is meant to reach about 2 million people?
I mean,
so what is the concept?
Yes, there could be 500 that, I mean, in terms of hierarchy, you're always going to have some ideas beating the others. If you have an idea and I have
some that are more viable.
And mine is more viable and can employ maybe 100 people, and yours will do 20. Clearly, if we have to prioritize to share the little we have, we'll give to the one that can employ 100 over the one that can do 50. And then, of course, if that one gives the needed return, then the 50 can also tap into. But that is an available fund. We're going to look at the best of ideas, the best of initiatives, so that we don't have a lot of young people losing out. So they come up with so many, strategies, so many ideas, they incubate them, they come up with innovations, and they don't get that needed backing and support to be able to. Those are critical things that government needs to do to stimulate the economy and get a lot of young people off the unemployment bracket. I mean, let's create more entrepreneurs. Let's create more independent, employed young people. And the fintech space is unlimited. I mean, there is no ending to it if you look at it critically. It's a space of freedom for people to think, come up with things, and benefit, and also allow the entire economy to benefit. So I think it's a very, very important initiative, especially for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who believes that the next phase of Ghana's economic development should 100% be hinged on the digital economy.
All right. So that's an interesting concept. You've still not told me of how we are getting, and you see the how of getting these dynamics. The state has a pool of money, our money, tax money, and all of that. But it's also not a bottomless pit. You get it. And we are an IMF supported.
Before we came to
so I just want to find out, sometimes when these promises are made from different
It's about priorities.
Okay, so we are going to have to move from some end to come to this.
It's about priorities. Before we came to office, Ghana used to spend about 6 billion a year on education. Nana Akufo-Addo came to office hugely on the back of education. And today we spent over 18 billion. In 8 years, we spent close to about 129 billion.
Free SHS alone over this period.
We've had an opponent that says, if I have 2 billion, I won't spend it on free SHS. That's his choice. So it's about priorities.
But he's also said that he is in full support.
No, but he said, I'm only saying what he said. Okay. That he says, and I'm not saying it I'm not saying it or putting it on him. He said that if he has 2 billion, he won't put it into free SHS. Nana Akufo-Addo says, if I have 2 billion or more, I'll put it into free SHS. At
a certain time, in a certain context. What is clear is that per the Afrobarometer report, over 85% of
absolutely
say that. So it's not even a conversation.
No, it is. It is, because another government could come and 90% would want it and he won't do it. Yeah. It's just an issue of priorities.
Okay.
That's all. I mean, one government comes in and says, I'll give free education to secondary students. Another government says, I'll do it for day students, and I'll do it. I mean, it's all about priorities.
The good thing, do you know the good thing about this campaign?
No, tell me.
The fact that many of the promises that are being made are similar across the board.
I mean, they've got the challenges.
Even on education.
But the challenges are the same.
So, I mean, no, you've made mention of this here, but people can decide to address. Look at the pensions issue. If you look at what your party is proposing and what the NDC is proposing, they are just minor. It's practically
I think I've said that. I've made that point here.
It's okay, because whichever party is in power, we can hold you to the same thing.
Because the challenges are the same. However, the priorities of the leaders differ. And that is where the difference comes in.
Okay.
And that is why today, under the former president Mahama, we had close to about 100,000 dropping out of senior high school education every year. But today, we have all of them who are willing and ready enrolled. The priorities. Right. The Nana Akufo-Addo government has prioritized ensuring that every Ghanaian child that is willing and ready to get educated for senior high school is doing that. Another government may come and said, well, I think I should focus on tertiary. Another one will say, I think I should just focus on. So it's all about priorities.
It's all about the dynamics.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is committed to the fintech fund. Right. It would raise the needed fund.
Okay, so what it means is that if we have to lower investments in this sector and we feel we can manage it and push that money here, pick money from here, it's basically priorities.
Yes,
basically.
Or maybe even raise more. Because don't forget, he's also
the raise more equation is pretty tricky right now because of the economic.
It's not. It's all about the strategies. It's all about the strategy. For example, if you listen to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia critically, you realize that heavy in his conversation is tax reforms, and the tax reforms that he is initiating are tax reforms that are not necessarily going to increase taxes, but are tax reforms that is going to make the tax regime very convenient for both the collector and the payer, which in turn would encourage a lot more people to participate. Because already you know that our ratio in terms of those who are paying taxes in Ghana is extremely low. So we have a lot more people that could pay more, could pay taxes.
When you say the ratio is very low, in terms of
the number of people,
the people who pay taxes,
yes, who are capable of paying taxes,
high. But it's the fact that it's the fact that we have many more people who, apart from indirect taxes, are not paying the direct taxes that they ought to pay.
Come on, we are not talking about the direct taxes.
So we must put it into
perspective. Every country, every country, in spite of the direct taxes, have been direct taxes. When we speak of state taxes, in this case, in the context in which we are speaking of, we are talking about the direct taxes. That's why indirect taxes everybody pays. We are even paying direct taxes to the US, even though we are in Ghana. So we are talking about the direct taxes, and we are saying that there are a lot of people who are still not contributing to the kitty. And if all these people should begin to contribute, you could even pay less taxes down. Because the numbers...
Well, it makes sense. Obviously, if more people are paying...
So you don't necessarily have to cut down on other areas, but you could still have creative ways to raise more without burdening the citizens and get a needed fund to do all the things you want to do.
So he also makes the point that he is one for, and he is going to push to offer good jobs with good pay.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at Ghana, one of the problems here, which is also leading to some brain drain, though we would say that brain drain has always been with us, but if you're looking at some of the people who are leaving, I always say that I have friends, I interact with them, and what they tell me is that, listen, if I'm going to even be here, there are a lot of people, Ghanaians as well, going to Kenya, Tanzania. Sometimes we think it's just the Western countries and the rest. Right here in Africa, because of better opportunities, even as teachers, as whatever it is.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with it. But could we sustain that manpower here
Kenya,
if there were enough jobs here?
Again, let me address this issue. There's nothing wrong with that. Kenya is exporting hundreds of thousands to Germany as we speak. So there's nothing. The Kenya you mentioned. Let me explain.
Okay,
I am saying that you don't call it brain drain. Today, 2024, you no longer call it brain drain. You call it human resource export. Philippines is sending home billions of dollars from human resource exports.
Right.
India is exporting billions of dollars in human resource export.
What quota of their human resource pool? You see, that's where the question is. It's not about every country.
What's our quota? What is our quota?
Wait. Every country exports manpower. Why? We've had the Cubans here for a long time, doctors and all of that. I studied.
So it's important to put it in context.
But the point is that if we want to do these, we should start looking at, okay, so what quota of my human resource is going out?
It's not about quota. It's about
how much more do I need?
It's not about
here?
the quota.
When you're making a point, I'll let you make your point. If it is engineers, if it is accountants, if it is whichever category, how many of them do I need in a given period? How many of them are going out? And how is that impacting my economy?
Absolutely. Have you done that? And I'll give you a quick reason why I think you don't call it brain drain. For example, Ghana has one of the best health professionals you can find.
That we know. Many of them in the UK.
Today, we are generating tens of thousands of nurses and forget even the doctors, but nurses and other health professionals every year. In fact, we are even generating a lot more than we have spaces for. And so if you have nurses that are available that you've trained, and they are in demand in UK and in Germany, what do you do? What I actually think the state should do is to have a proper coordination of sending these
I thought
nurses.
we started something like that.
Yes, to sending these nurses to these countries to go and work and support them. Because as we speak now, we are now even completing a lot more of our health infrastructure. We have a lot of health professionals we are turning out every year.
That's the other side of the problem. It's not so much, you see, you said that space is available.
Yes.
But the point is, at the same time, it's not that there's no need for those health professionals, because you go to certain areas in this country and you have a CHIPS compound in a community and that's it.
But don't jump it.
Hold. So the health requirements are there. The fact that we don't have a place to push them.
Let's contextualize the conversation.
Is what the problem is, which means let's create more room for them.
Let's contextualize. So until you create the room, the human resources are available. So you don't leave him at home because you haven't created a room yet.
But I also realize the other side of it, that once they go, it's pretty difficult.
But you are churning it.
You have a rotational
But
system.
you are churning out every year. You are churning out every year to the extent that you have backlog of nurses and health professionals that you haven't even posted.
Okay, so as far as you are concerned, it's not a problem.
It's not a big deal. I'm saying that in the 2024 global economy, human resource is seamless. They are borderless. And that if you have a skill in a particular area, it's like when you're doing mining, even in Ghana, anything mining, go to Australia. Go and get the Australians. In the US, anything tech, IT, go to India. Go and get the Indians. You understand? If you go to the US, they will tell you that if you want the handymen, the carpenters, and the masons, go to the Mexicans and get them and the Spanish to come and help you work. Ghana should be known for something. And if we have the human resource and the skill in a certain area, and we have excess of it at the moment as we can accommodate, it is important that we export them. And we don't have to demonize that. There is nothing wrong with that. First world countries are deliberately exporting human resource. China, Japan, USA, Germany, they are exporting human resource in expertise and areas where they are extremely competent in. And that's what the world is moving towards now.
Let's talk about power.
And that's why, that is why actually in our manifesto, we have a whole section for jobs abroad program. Because we believe that in the fourth industrial revolution, in the global economy that we are building now, you need to be ready for it. We need to create a legal framework for it. Because we need to ensure that the regulations are there for it. And we need to ensure that even certification, the TVET that we are doing in Ghana, and the TVET requirement that is needed in Germany, how are we synchronizing it and make sure that they are aligned? So that when our people complete the TVET training that we've modernized and we are doing for them, they will be ready for export for some of these economies. There's nothing wrong with that.
Let me just ask you this. Since you spoke about health, we were supposed to, produce some, I think, nurses for Barbados and all of that. Did that project take off?
Yes.
How many have we sent to Barbados?
I will not be able to get a figure, but we have, as a matter of fact, we have nurses in Barbados right now.
Currently?
Yes. And I think there are some 2 other countries that are even.
And what systems are in place? You were talking about these systems to ensure that, of course, the state is getting its cut.
I think we need to improve.
We have a system
I think we need to improve on the systems. For instance, at the moment, these things are done through the sector ministries. I am of the view that
health ministry.
I am of the view that it must be done through the labor ministry. We need to strengthen some of the regulations. We need to strengthen some of the legislations around some of these things. But you agree that these are new areas that we are venturing into. And so it's part of our manifesto to sit down and ensure that we build legislations and legal frameworks and regulations to guide and create a right funnel to get these things done in a way that will protect our citizens as they go out there and make sure that they are getting the needed conditions and welfare for them.
I wanted to move on to what he said about power, but I have a senior citizen, and that's how the person addresses himself. Please ask, you say the MPP gentleman, his name is Dennis Miracles Aboagye. What is the ratio of a doctor to patients in Ghana before they are bent on exporting human resource? It goes on and on, but what would you say? Because I've also read reports.
I've explained to you.
In the past. No, just answer this person's
So the explanation is simple. If we think that we have enough than what we can accommodate at the moment in every sector, let's export it.
Okay.
Don't let us keep them idle.
So, senior citizen, that's your response. Let's talk about power. He made mention of the fact that, there was a comparison there with the Mahama administration. He spoke about the prolonged power outages and all of that. And he urged the youth to consider the 2 choices in voting: a return to past failures or the opportunity for renewed leadership. In terms of power outages, there are this latest batch of power outages that we've been facing. I face it where I live. I don't know whether you face it. People in the Ashanti region talk about it in the Greater Accra region. I don't know about other regions. What's the latest on that? And How do we take such a promise, especially when even now we're still encountering some power?
Yeah, I mean, in the past few days, we've had some challenges with gas supply.
Few days?
Yes.
For me, it's been over a month.
Well, so at least it's not 4 years like we experienced in the past with gas supply. And that has led to some challenges in certain areas.
Gas supplies?
I mean, set power in certain areas. Okay. And that's something that government is working. I mean, we've gone through this before. You remember somewhere around May this year, we had challenges for about 6 weeks, and it was resolved. And this will also be resolved immediately without any difficulty or challenge. But that is why Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's proposition on power is geared towards solar. And it's important that that is noted. That is why Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's proposition on power is geared towards solar. So his conversation on power has been on solar. It has nothing to do with hydro. It has nothing to do with gas. He stated categorically that we need to be able to increase the contribution of solar power to our national mix so that we can beat down the cost of power for our industries, especially. Because once our industries are getting less priced power, it is going to reduce the operational cost, and it's going to have a bearing on the prices to the consumers. So it's important that we put it on record that he speaks of solar power and not hydro and gas, because he acknowledges the challenges. Hydro gas comes with some cost. Some
solar
operational
also
costs
comes with a cost.
But operational costs that are higher than the solar power. The solar power doesn't go through all these challenges where there's a gas pipeline that is broken, there's a gas pipeline that is blasted. They say, no, you are harnessing it from the skies. And everybody agrees that that is far, far cheaper
Which brings to mind, I don't know whether it's Bui or something. They started a solar.
The solar farm.
I don't know whether it's Bui or one of those, but I have to check. I would have asked you for the status of that, but since you don't, then I think you may not. But anyway, let's look at, the fact though is that we seem to have had, all the days from Doomsaw and the NDC to now, constant or recurrent power challenges. Whether it's Mohammed's 24-hour economy or Dr. Bawumia's digital or digitalization agenda, power must be secure for the same fourth industrial revolution he's talking about. Why do you think we're here?
It must be stable. It must be less costly. That's the only way we can survive in any of the propositions. And that is why Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in his plan, didn't leave power out. And read his power proposition. I insist that he acknowledges it, and that is why he says it is time to move towards solar. It is reliable, it is cheaper, it is consistent. And that is his proposition. That solves the challenges that you raise, and that solves the challenges that you refer to as recurrent.
He also expressed commitment to fostering a sort of environment where young people are able to express themselves, they partake in leadership and all of that. What exactly does he mean? He's
already indicated that he thinks that one of the transformations we need to introduce into our education and our training or our curriculum is a mindset reorientation. We need to build a lot more confident young guys.
Are you talking of a revision of the curriculum?
I mean, absolutely. In 2024, the fourth industrial revolution that we are embracing, we cannot continue with the curriculum that we have. And we've already started. Today, when you go to Abomusu STEM school, the students in Abomusu STEM school, which is a senior high school, are studying aviation. They are studying aeronautics. They are doing things that we regularly don't do in our schools. If you go to
one of the STEM schools,
yes,
or which one?
Yes, it's one of the STEM schools. Okay. If you go to Accra High School today, they have a robotics lab where students in Accra will go there and they are building things and trying to do things with their fingers. That is a sort of that's the sort of thinking Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is saying we should introduce into our curriculum. If you go to Kwada, so we are almost done with the creative art school, and this is going to be a senior high school that is purely focused on the creative arts. So you go there and you are learning probably how to do production, casting, direction, props, TV presenter, whatever it is. But at least the child leaves the basic school and is being focused towards areas where he...
So they leave with something.
Exactly. You know, that's the sort of thing he's talking about. That's the sort of planning he's talking about. And if we have senior high school students who are using laboratories and auto mechanic shops that have auto simulation centers, you know, we are preparing them for the 11 or more automobile companies that we've set up in the country at the moment. And that is what he's talking about. He's saying that we shouldn't go to school and just go and study the CRS and the religious and moral studies and the literature and get out. Let us churn out, generate young Ghanaians who come out and they are ready to do amazing things like we are seeing. And it can be done because the field that we've tried is working. McGee's, that is my municipality. When I was MCE, won international robotic competition twice. And these girls, when you go to the school, they are building things. At the moment, they are doing amazing things. Prempeh College has won it before. And these are competitions they won against Japan and Korea and the United States of America and what have you. And that's what Dr. Mahmoud Bamia is talking about, that we need to build a lot more of these things. Go to East Legon, amazing STEM school that has been put there. And this STEM school is not doing the regular grammar training that we put a lot of our children through. Go to Kwabenya, the KGs that we are building now are fully digitalized KGs, where they are using smart boards and they are using tablets for these cages so that they grow already shaped to compete with the rest of the world.
He also speaks about Agenda 111 and completion. Before I get into the numbers, because he's talking about employing between 70,000 and 72,000 health personnel. We were talking about those and something else. I would ask that not just you politicians, you tend to use the term churn out. It has a negative context it's like a fan belt. You keep producing without quality. I suggest you use other terms because churn out it comes with negativity. It's like mass production without quality.
I'll look into the grammar afterwards.
But let's go into the 70 to 72,000 jobs that are likely to be created. First, starting off with Agenda 111. What is the state of completion?
So 47, between 45 and 47 of them will be commissioned before the end of the year.
45 to 47. When you say commissioned, what do you mean? Because a hospital
and used, it will be commissioned and used.
Okay, so equipment, everything, yes. As we speak, staff assigned.
As we speak, most of them are already, near completion in terms of installation of the equipment. Most of them already.
That is these 45 to 47.
Yes, most of them. I think about 5 of them. Yesterday, I lost almost all my data on my phone, but about 5 of them are in the Ashanti region and other parts of the country. Then the rest are the ones Dr. Mahmoud Bamia is talking about, that he is committed. And that commitment is very important. Each of the leaders must make that commitment towards completing Agenda 111. And it's something that we must insist. You know why? Because until COVID struck, this country lived our lives as if everything was under control when it comes to healthcare infrastructure.
COVID exposed us.
Exactly. And then COVID exposed us. Then the government decided to boldly venture out to ensure that we fix this infrastructural gap once and for all. The fact is, since independence, no government has embarked on such an audacious infrastructural fixing in our health sector at a go. And so we need that commitment. And there's a reason why I say we need that commitment. In the year 2007, President Kufuor started these Aerojet projects, about 7 of them or so, to be completed for the health sector. When he left office and handed it over to the NDC government, for 8 years, none of these Aerojet projects were completed. None. They were all left halted and left hanging until the second MPP government came to office. And now we've completed about 6 of them. So the fear is there, and the fear is real, based on evidence and based on what has happened before, that if we don't get each of the 12 people contesting in this election to commit towards completing Agenda 111, we could have a government, if not Dr. Mahmoud Bamia, come in and leave all these projects hanging.
But let me just say this. Does this not sound like moving away from the very things you've also adopted? I've criticized all administrations for abandoning projects, and it's a known thing. I've read reports on how many billions of dollars Ghana loses every year based on abandoned projects. You have Saglemi. You have other, in fact, for me, I always say, the Bank Hospital in the cantonment area. I even caught flack for it many years ago. This must have been, I don't remember whether it was 2017, thereabouts. I had to personally push. And then eventually, that hospital started being used. Though, like I said, I caught a lot of flack and took bullets for it. The point being that, how does it come across if you say Agenda 111?
Yes.
You are unable to finish them. So let's say you even complete 50.
Yes.
You are left with what? 61.
Thereabout, because now it's even 140.
So I'm even saying, let's give 50. Yeah. You are left with 61.
Yes.
You can't guarantee that your candidate will win because there's no crystal ball. You have to wait till the election day.
You can't, but I
can. Then, well, if you could, you wouldn't be saying that if any other candidate, you can't guarantee
because
the
you
completion.
can't. But I feel like you says we can't.
The other option is you also can't guarantee that any other candidate who comes will go ahead and complete them.
Yes.
So why would you want to do that to yourself? The bottom line being that why not enact projects? If you said you would do maybe 40, by this time you probably would have completed them. By targeted 111, it's not likely you'll be able to complete them. Do you get the point I'm making?
I don't. Let me explain to you.
You don't?
No, let me
So the point is, if you overshoot what you can do and you are unable to complete, it comes back to hit us, the taxpayers, with abandoned
Why
projects.
shouldn't we complete it?
But you also fail to complete other people's projects.
It is time limitation that is not enabling us to complete and nothing else.
So why did you, because at the time, you know this has been rolled over twice.
Relax. That is
you know
why,
it has been rolled,
that is why government,
has been rolled over
that
twice.
is why when you are choosing government, you must choose government wisely. Because if a government initiates 111 projects and each of them are in progress, and there's a change in government, all you do is to ensure that the next morning you go and check on the contractor and say, where are we? How do we complete it? But you don't come and leave it. So the commitment, that is why I said, let each of the candidates commit to it. If you have a candidate like the former president that we are not sure would be able to complete this agenda, we will vote against him. Because he has records of not completing such projects. See, in the Ashanti region, I'm just coming from the Ashanti region. In the Ashanti region, he inherited 6 Aerojet projects from former President Kufuor. None of them was completed. In fact, when he started, and I'll tell you something, do not put all of us in the same bracket. The MPP has a record of completing projects which we inherited. In fact, if you're going to run a comparative analysis, which you said you have done, they don't give a blanket analysis. Show in terms of percentage between the two governments who has done the most in terms of continuing and completing, because we have done more.
I wouldn't be bothered. I would be bothered about complete. No. Hold for me. I'll be bothered with 100%. Because actually, if you look at the NDPC, that is what it stands for. That is why people are saying it shouldn't even be party manifesto.
That is a convenient
national manifesto.
That is a convenient way of letting irresponsible leaders get away. Because you see, even with the current government, it is obvious that you cannot complete all your projects. And so the difference between the two in terms of who has the record of continuing and completing the most is important. The NDC handed over the NMS projects to us. These NMS projects are being done, they've been completed. The NDC handed the Aerojet projects that President Kufuor handed over to them for 8 years. They didn't do it. We have come to complete them. Okay. Why do you want to put all of us in the same bracket?
So let's
we are not in the same category when it comes to continuing and completing projects.
All right.
We are better off than them.
Okay. Let's conclude the conversation. We are wrapping here. We are even past our time.
Let's do more.
Well, we don't have all the time for you. A Buy Ghana First policy.
Yes.
He talks about establishing small and medium enterprises, a bank for that, and creating special economic zones. The NDC has spoken about creating a women's bank and all of that. What is the concept in here, briefly? And how does it change anything in our banking system?
So the Buy Ghana First is not necessarily connected to the banks. The Buy Ghana is simply to say that we need to boost our local industries to reduce the pressure on our currency. And Dr. Babu Mbamia makes a point that our first point of call when we need to procure something, even for public sector, is to go and look for an imported product to buy. And it's because we simply do not have a way to get public sector to at least look out for a locally produced good first before they look outside. So now it's discretionary. If you want, you can buy from the local company because they are not so competitive against the foreign companies. Now he says, let us pass legislation. Let us pass laws that would ensure that public procurement would first look at local industries first. And that if you don't find it in Ghana, then go and look out for it outside Ghana. What it would do is multiple for us. One, it would ensure that the local industries have more to produce, which will lead for them to employ more. It would ensure that we are importing less, which would lead to us the strengthening of our currency, and would ensure that we have an economy where we are really living by ourselves in this country, which is very, very critical towards fixing these economic challenges that we are going through. The difference is introducing here is that back the locally manufactured goods with legislation so that at least public sector would buy from them first before they look outside to ensure that we reduce imports, strengthen our currency, get our local industry to produce more, and increase employment.
Well, we wish you the very best on these projects. And of course, that is Dennis Miracles Aboagye, Director of Communications for the Bawumia campaign. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you, Bo.
All right. Before we go and head into our next conversation right here on the AM show, let me tell you a bit about Medicas Hospital, a modern healthcare facility built with your recovery in mind. They have spacious wards built with your family in mind, a warm and caring pediatric unit built with your children in mind. And guess what? They have assembled some of the brightest minds in medicine, led by Dr. Yao Safo, the drive-time doctor, to serve you. So they're offering general medical services such as specialist services in plastic surgery, obstetrics, gynecology, child health, urology, psychiatry, and eye care. Additionally, they have a comprehensive medical diagnosis service encompassing endoscopy, medical laboratory services, x-rays and scans, as well as a 24-hour pharmacy, ensuring you'll always receive efficacious, safe and affordable medicine. And to boot, they are bringing to you the most powerful medicine of all, simple human kindness and empathy. And they take pride in holding themselves to the highest attainable standards. They accept all forms of payment, including from private health insurance companies. So you're sorted out if you want to go that route. Locate Medicas Hospital at number 10 Kinso Street, near Ashalebotre School Junction. You can also reach them on 0501 477 340. 0501 477 340. On social media, Medicas GH, that is Medicas GH. Medicas Hospital, a place of healing. Let me also tell you about Syntex Ghana. Ghana, get ready for the biggest giveaway from Syntex Tank. Syntex is visiting 15 communities, giving them free water. This is to say thank you, Ghana, for making us number one. Syntex, did you know, was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Did you also know that Syntex tanks came in so many colors and was the first to come out with inner white layers? They are the first on many fronts. And that's why if it's not Syntex, you might as well forget about it, like we say here. So if you're a community and you want to benefit from the Syntex free water giveaway, just log on to their social media handles at Syntex Ghana and nominate your community. The more you nominate, the better the chances that they'll come to that community. And remember, it is Syntex, Syntex Tank. No be any tank be tanko. The correct tank is Syntex Tank. Syntex Tank, are you strong, are you tough? Well, we bring you tough issues when we return on the AM show. Do stay. Africa is not a country. We know that, but does the rest of the world know that? Well, we're going to be having a conversation with some journalists and a media practitioner from Denmark who are in the country, especially on a program tied to this. And joining me in the studio, we have Sophie Stendal Milder. She's a student with the DMJX. We also have Christian Fischer Nielsen. He's a student as well with the DMJX. And then Sophie. So we have two Sophies in the studio. I have to label them Sophie 1 and Sophie 2. Sophie Ritter Skjoldagger, she's editor-in-chief, World's Best News. And of course, we're talking about the Danish School of Media and Journalism. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Did you just find out that Africa was not a country? I'll start with you.
I think I had a feeling that it is not a country, but several countries. So yeah, because World's Best News in Denmark, we write about global development, the SDGs, and the world around Denmark. So we do a lot of reporting on Africa and the African countries.
Is this your first time in Africa?
It is not my first time in Africa, but it is my first time in Ghana.
First time in Ghana.
Yes.
Christian, first time in Ghana?
Yeah, it is. I've been to Africa 2 times before, but it was Kenya and South Africa, so each corner of Africa. But I think a lot of us, of course, know that Africa is not a country, but sometimes we refer to Africa as being the same, but there are so many different countries and language and ethnic groups. So I think it's good for us to create a better understanding of the complex reality here.
Sophie, you are a budding journalist as well in Denmark. What would you say? Is this your first time in Africa? Starting?
No, I've been to Tanzania once.
Tanzania,
but I think that we tend to have a lot of stereotypes that we put over all Africa. So yeah, that's why this project is so giving.
When you look at your country, Denmark, and I'll stay with you, Sophie, is this stereotype prevalent? Is it something that needs to be addressed from where you sit?
I would say so, yes, especially, you know, when you speak, we spoke to some young people from Ghana yesterday, and it was very clear that they don't like to be put in, you know, they don't like that we talk about Africa as a whole. They would like, you know, to separate West Africa from the East, and that we know that there's a difference between the countries. Yeah.
Okay, so this entire, you know, exchange program, Africa is not a country, is based on this. Why this Journalists of the Future program? Why did you even decide to embark on this journey, Sophie?
Well, I think it's very clear if you look at Africa and the development that is going on this continent, that it is extremely relevant, even if you live outside of the continent, to have an eye on what's going on here. So many resources, so many young people, so I think Africa is very relevant. Also to Europe, to Denmark, and I think we are becoming more aware of it, but there's still a lot of work to be done. Yeah.
My follow-up question will be, why Ghana? And you know, there are interactions that you're having with Ghanaians here, and they're also telling you our side of the story. What would you say is the choosing of Ghana? Why?
Well, Ghana is a country that has experienced a lot of positive development for decades. So I think it's a good example of development in the African continent. You know, Denmark has a history in Ghana, so yeah, so there's several reasons for choosing Ghana, and we have felt very welcome here.
Okay, Christian. So it's also a look at positive reporting. It's not always about the negative. There's a coup here. There's that bad thing happening. As a student of journalism, having gone through this process of an exchange, what would you say has changed for you?
I think I've become more aware of the stories that we tell to Danes from the world. It doesn't always have to be when something goes wrong, and it can also be in other continents that we often hear about something, if there's something going wrong, instead of hearing that the health is going much better or the education. And that's also an important story to tell, because so much progress has happened in Africa the last centuries. So maybe the old narrative doesn't fit the reality now, so we have to create a new and a better narrative.
Sophie, are you aspiring fully to become a journalist, to practice?
Yes.
You are?
I am, yeah.
What has your experience been so far, this period that you've been here? And eventually you're heading to Tamale as well to experience that community. And how do you think it's going to shape your journalistic practice vis-a-vis reporting about Africa?
Well, I think at our school we learn a lot about being, you know, critical in our journalism, how we have to write about the problems in society. And I think coming here really shows that, as Christian also mentioned, that it's very important that you write the stories that, you know, underline the development in countries such as this one, and, you know, that you tell stories from places that you might not see when you're in Denmark, because I don't think a lot of Danes know that much about, you know, about Ghana and what happens here. We hear a lot about Italy and other European countries, but not that much about the African countries, and I think a lot of Danes could learn a lot from the stories that we can tell here. Yeah.
That's an interesting point. Sophie, before I come to the key realities of Africa's diversity, which I'm sure, socioeconomic, cultural, that you've you've picked up. Do you think, as you carry this mindset, this knowledge back to Denmark, it would filter through? Because it's not just Denmark that needs this. It's the UK, it's all other Western and Eastern European countries. How do you think this can funnel through to other components? Because you also have counterparts you work with in other countries, right?
Yes, we do, and especially in Scandinavian countries. We also have World's Best News, for instance, in Norway, and so we have collaborations and partners. But I think in Denmark, the general issue that we also are focused on in the media today is the term news avoidance. That is a growing problem in Denmark, where people,
news avoidance.
News avoidance, and it's not only in Denmark but also in the rest of at least the surveys that I have seen in the rest of Europe, probably also elsewhere. And the issue is that because the media are very good at reporting on all the problems, which of course they should. That's a key task. But it becomes so overwhelming to the viewers and the readers that they eventually just turn off the news. They deliberately do not follow the news anymore because
there's a media fatigue.
Yes, it actually makes them distressed or feel numb. That they cannot do anything about this.
We have some of that here too.
Exactly. And that is an issue because, as you know, if people just turn off the news, I mean, it doesn't make any of us any wiser. So I think the whole point about creating, world's best news in the first place, we have existed for 15 years, is also about bringing those nuances to the debate. So of course we should focus on the problems. You have issues to tackle in Ghana. We have issues to handle in Denmark. That's a key journalist task. But the nuances and the solutions especially are important so that we can, address the issues.
I think I would throw, instead of throwing that to you, I'll throw the diversity, the realities of our diversity. And in fact, I'll start with you, Sophie, this time. What have you noticed? What would you say you're leaving with when it comes to any form of diversity, especially in Ghana, that you've come to a stark realization of?
Okay, well, we've only been here a couple of days, so I think there are much more, things to come, hopefully. But we had, as I mentioned before, conversations with young people from Ghana yesterday, where we spoke about cultural diversities. For example, we spoke about our view on climate change and how we involve that in our daily life, and we spoke about the different how we our responsibility for our own economic situation. In Denmark, the state helps a lot with funding students, and the young people we spoke with yesterday were very surprised about that, and they told us about how they find it difficult to finance their own lifestyle and their school, and I think that was quite surprising. We also spoke about gender roles and how women in Ghana have to fight extra to get a job or to position themselves, and in Denmark we don't have those kind of issues. We are it's just different. I mean, there are a lot of things that are very.
So that was a bit of a, I don't know whether to call it cultural shock or socioeconomic shock, but these are realities you don't see there that you had to come to terms with here.
Yes.
How about you, Christian?
I actually think, to be honest, what has inspired me the most was when I talked to the young people from Ghana and heard their views.
Okay, so again, let's not put it into the young people where specifically. Do you remember the area?
Yeah, but the coexistence between both Christians and Muslims here, I think it's very inspiring. Because also in Denmark, it sometimes can be difficult to tolerate different cultures. But here it seems like that you have a big tolerance that some are Christians and some are Muslims, and therefore you have different practices, and you respect that. And I think that is just a hopeful story for the world.
I do realize that in your jurisdiction, the mindset may be a bit different, also because of certain things that have happened. But here we've coexisted for a long time, and we want to keep it that way.
Yeah, and it's so inspiring.
We want to keep it that way. But let's also look at, I mean, between now and you have basically led this team, right?
Yes.
What would you say has been achieved by the time you leave Ghana? What would you hope to have achieved before you head back to Denmark?
So I hope that the young Danish students will have a more a nuanced view. I mean, of course, we are only here for a week, and we are only in Ghana, and the whole point is that Africa is a big continent, but at least this is a starting point, and that they have appetite to explore the world and to focus, of course, on the problems, but also on the progress and solutions. So now they have a point to start from, and they have experienced this country. So that is a goal.
Okay. And for you, as individuals, Christiana and Sophie, by the time you leave individually, this may be the collective, mindset, but what would you hope to have achieved before you go back?
I hope that I can portray the world more truthfully and without any negative bias or prejudice, because to portray the world as it is and as close to the reality as possible, it is nice to see it with your own eyes and meet the people that you talk about. And I've had the blessing to do that, and I feel very grateful for that opportunity.
Yeah. You remind me of my interaction with some Spaniards who came into town some time back, and I had to take them to Aboagye because I speak their language. And they wanted to be on the ground to experience it rather than be told this is what happened. Sophie, what do you hope to leave with?
Well, I agree with Christian on what he's saying, but I also personally hope to have learned a lot about your culture and your everyday life. I think I'm a very good example of a young European girl who don't know that much about Ghana and other countries in West Africa. So I hope to have, seen how you live your lives down here, and both see the similarities but also the differences between the way we do things and the way you do things, because I think we can learn a lot from each other in many ways. So yeah.
All right. So that is the Danish School of Media and Journalism. It's all about Africa is not a country. At least one thing you will definitely leave with is the fact that Africa is not a country. There are 50 plus countries here. And all of us are very diverse with our own cultures and different ways of doing things, music and the rest. But before you go, before I take your final words, have you tried Ghanaian food?
Yeah, and it was maybe the most surprising thing for me, actually, because it's so spicy. I think I'm good at spicy food in Denmark, but it's a whole another level.
This is hotter than you know.
Wow.
Okay,
yeah,
for you, Sophie?
There's a lot of meat as well. We're not used to that much meat in Denmark. We have a lot of focus on vegetarian food, so it's and it's very spicy.
So there's a lot of protein, a lot of spice.
Yeah.
You may have tried shito at a point, right? The black pepper thing.
Yeah, and it's spicy.
It is spicy. I like the way he can say it is spicy.
It's the main takeout.
For you?
For if I can handle the spice, or
I mean, what has been your experience with our food?
Well, I agree on the spiciness. Coming with apparently a Danish
palate.
That's but very tasteful. So I like it, and I think we can get accustomed to the spice level. So at least we're working on that. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because same happens to us when we also travel to other parts of the world. Then we also have to get accustomed to the food there.
Yeah.
So it's the same reaction.
And it's a nice thing that when you ask someone at a restaurant, is this spicy? And they say, no, it's not spicy at all. And then they're like, I'm dying.
Because for us, it's not spicy.
Yeah.
But for you, it's different. Final words. I'll start with you, Christian, this time. Final words.
Just want to say thank you for your great country and for the possibility to be here and be so welcoming, and for your great hospitality. And we look forward to more days also in Tamale to explore more of your country and hopefully come back soon.
All right, Sophie?
Yeah, well, also your hospitality is overwhelming, and we're just also very happy for the opportunity to come here in the studio and, to share our perspective on the whole project.
All right. So that was Sophie number 2. Sophie number 1?
Yeah, well, I can say definitely, as you can hear from the students, that we are learning, and we are happy to learn and come back a little bit wiser and with more nuances in our bags. Yeah, it's a great opportunity.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. We're also proud of you for, taking the time to come here, learn more about Africa, and carry it back to you, with you to Denmark. Those are members of the Danish School of Media and Journalism. And of course, we had Sophie Ritter Skjoldagger. She is editor-in-chief, World's Best News. We also had Christian Fischer Nielsen, a student at the school, and Sophie Stendal Milder, also a student at the school. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
And of course, as for us, we are very familiar with the fact that Africa is a continent. We'll be right back after the break. Do stay. And behold, magically from Adabraka, so you can say abracadabra, adabraka.
And I
Here she is, boom.
Yeah.
Today you had, I'm sure you had fun.
I did.
On the streets.
I did.
And for me, the killer was the gentleman who supposedly had...
The landlord, ran to the toilet.
But I don't think it was fair because the other person said that he ran into the washroom.
Yeah.
But he came out and said, no, that's not what happened.
But I mean, he said that he was the first person that spotted the gun. So, and clearly they weren't really perturbed initially because it looked like they were not the target of these people, these armed robbers. But when they started firing shots into the air, he had to find somewhere to go.
But something that really struck me, the woman who said, this was the second incident there.
In 3 months.
She said the first one gave her some sort of trauma experience. So now when she hears a little sound, she reacts. And then this happened, and she had to get the child in there. I mean, people living in the community, I think they are going to feel...
the mental state of these people need to be considered in the conversations. I think something needs to be done for them because they are not okay. And I say that as a concerned citizen, they are not okay. But this is what we have, Benjamin.
But I'm also curious about one last thing. The 30,000 that was supposedly spread on the streets, who picked them up?
So the landlord said they asked everyone who picked the money to bring it back. And they recovered 30,000.
Yeah,
that's not all the money that was splashed into the air on the floor.
So some people ran away.
What they recovered was the 30,000 guys.
30,000,
Benjamin. We're talking millions. 5-6 million thereabouts or more.
Yeah, the reports we've seen are 6 million Ghana cedis.
This is where we are. But right before we go, I do want to remind our audience that Girl Get Up Africa is presenting the 3rd annual seminar. That is the Girl Get Up Seminar 2024. My girls are calling it Girl Get Up Seminar 3.0. Accra Metropolitan Assembly Hall. That is a Snap Cinema on the 23rd of November 2024. Please do well to attend. And thank you to everyone who's supporting us. If you still want to support us, do call 024-871-6087. Benjamin Akakpo, how was it in the studio, though?
It's been okay. I just wish, though, that you had been here to give me some, what you say. I was running around. But tomorrow...
Yes, we have a full day tomorrow.
Let's wrap with some birthdays. Happy birthday to the CEO of Stearman Group Limited, Kwabena Obeng, currently in California, USA. It's from your sister, Ajwa, also in the USA. God richly bless your new age. That's the message. And then Francis Dazi, a lead consultant at MPEG Consult Limited. Happy birthday to you as well. Former Executive Director, Advertising Association of Ghana. So to you, Kwabena Obeng, and to Francis Dazi. And the final one I'll do for our very own Samuel Dame, Jada Asida Kumia Owusu Dame. May the Almighty God bless you. And it's from Samuel Dame and the entire family.
That's I want to add one last one to it. Happy birthday going out to Victoria Menz of Academic City. She's the executive assistant at Girl Get Up Africa. It's a belated happy birthday, girl. God bless you, and may you continue to increase in all aspects of your life. And that's our show, guys.
That's how we cap it off. And in the words of what's in your T-shirt, Chale, waiting to happen. Have a good day, yeah? We'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Bye.